All right, boys and girls, here we go. It is a live edition of the Nightcap right here on BearcatJournal.com. All right, I'm flying solo right now, so it's going to take me a second to get everything up and going. Share this on Twitter. If anybody wants to, if you guys want to do me a favor, go start a thread on the message board with a link to this. That would be great. It'd be much appreciated. You save me a little time. Let's text a potential guest. All right, here we go. Didn't have to wait too long. I'm proud of you guys. Didn't have to wait too long for everybody to join. You guys were already rocking and rolling and ready to go. All you have to do is if you want to donate to Aaron's the baby formula fund or diaper fund, all you have to do is right below the chat in YouTube, there's a little $sign. And if you want to hit the $sign and make a donation, you can make a donation for Aaron. Or you can just donate to me. I don't know. We all worked hard this weekend. It was a heck of a weekend. What a weekend it's been. No kidding, Alex. So we got into this on the Nightcap a little bit last night. I'm gonna have some beers while we do this. I hope everybody doesn't mind. I didn't have a drop of alcohol last night at the Fish Show. There was too much going on. I didn't have a chance. I had to get back home immediately after the show and get ready for camp today and what was 3 more commitments. So I'm gonna have a little bit of fun tonight while we're hanging out. Joe Merrick, hell of a weekend. Thank you, Chad and the staff, for the coverage. This is mostly our staff crushed it this weekend. Crushed it. Mick with 5 recruiting articles with quotes yesterday. Mick had a camp to work at Purdue today, so he was occupied. I was at camp at UC, so Brett Stein stepped up and answered the bell and got us a couple recruiting articles out of his area of expertise. He's usually the basketball recruiting guy, and he stepped in and got us a couple articles while Mick and I were away. So it's a team effort. Taylor, you got to give a million thanks to Taylor. Edits by Taylor, who had 8 on the fly, 8 edits that she produced for the site. So she deserves a ton of credit. Thank you to Kyle, new member. If you want to become a member, it's on the YouTube page where it says join right underneath the video of me. You can join and become a member. There's Taylor. Got to give you a shout out, Taylor. That you crushed it on short notice. Trust me, a lot of this, as Taylor knows, a lot of this stuff, like we have a pretty good idea on when things are going to happen. Not this weekend. This weekend, it was rapid fire. Like, this one's coming in an hour. This one's coming in at 30 minutes. This one's coming in 90 minutes. Like, you had to be on your toes at all times because things were just happening so damn fast. That's sad, Chad. Not really, Chelsea. I still had a great time at the concert. Like, I saw a really good I haven't seen Fish live in over a decade. The last time I saw him was before Kelsey was born. So it was good to just kind of get back and see a show live again. And I did a lot of people watching and just enjoying the crowd and remembering, oh man, that was me in my 20s. We got messed up at these things. So it was a different experience, but it was still a great show. A little good times, bad times to close the second set. And no, it was a 20-minute, if you're a Fish fan, almost a 20-minute You Enjoy Myself to open the second set. Then they closed it with good times, bad times. It was, I had a great time. But we had to hop in the car as soon as it was over, head back to Cincinnati. I got back in town right before about it's like 1:40, 1:45. Got the nightcap. We recorded the nightcap while we were driving. Got the nightcap published once I got home and went to bed. Got up this morning and back to UC for camp. Actually, before that, we had the Nick Oliviera commitment at noon. And then as soon as that was done, got in the car, got to UC for camp, and then got back here just in time for the Luke Evans commitment tonight. Got that up, cooked some steaks. Kelly, I told Kelsey had a volleyball game. I said, stop and get some steaks or stop and get some food. She's like, how about these steaks? I'll cook a ribeye on the grill. I ain't scared. So I had some steak and potatoes and some asparagus and some grilled pineapple. If you're grilling steaks, you got to have a little grilled pineapple with it. And then decided, hey, let's go live. Might as well hang out with the people tonight. We'll have a special guest coming up here in a couple minutes. You guys are nuts. Already 94 people in the room. Can't call it a nightcap without beverages. You're right. Absolutely right. That's kind of the thing now, Tony, man. Like, this train ain't slowing down, right? Like, this is what we talked about when we said the draft was going to be, the playing in the Cotton Bowl was the biggest moment in the history of the program. And then the draft was going to be even bigger than that, having 9 guys see their names called. And this is the culmination of that. Like, this is the fruits of those labors paying off. Hey, we got a guest. What's going on, Mick Walker?
Not much, Chad. I'm just driving.
You're driving about a 4-hour drive home from West Lafayette to Columbus. Uh-oh. Mick, where'd you go? This isn't good. We had him for 30 seconds and he's already lost. Mick. Oh. Let's try this again. There you go. Are you back?
Yeah, I just had a little technical difficulty there.
That's all right. So let's get started. Take us through your day yesterday. How was that?
Well, it was hectic from the get-go. What we thought day was going to originally happen at 4, and I'm trying to say, this is not giving out too much of the inside baseball here, but we originally thought day. We were told day at 4. Day happened at 2:30. So as I'm typing something, I'm texting Steve to see if he's typing something. Day's talking to Steve. I'm typing something to get up on the front page. I think then you call me and tell me, hey, we got one at 4, and we could have more. And then from there, it was about a call about every hour from there, and then a new guy was coming. And then from there, it was also each call was, hey, we got another one happening this hour. So
how in the hell did you get quotes from all 5? Day we knew the other 4 guys were happening on the fly. Tell everybody how the process of getting quotes from all of these guys while they're on their visit. They're out and about. They're they're doing fun stuff. They're all over the city, and you're like, hey, you mind if I I might get some quotes for a second.
Yeah, so I mean, it started off easy because it's built-in breaks in like these days. So Josh was on a break when I talked to him. That was easy. They were just at the back of the hotel relaxing. But then James was getting back from a tour, so he thought he couldn't talk. But luckily, I was able to get a hold of them. And then when it came to Manny, I was I got a hold of somebody at UC. I said, "Hey, where's Manny at?" And like this whole day, and he was like, "Oh, he's over here playing cornhole with this other guy. I see him. He's 10 feet away from me playing cornhole." So I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna call the guy, and he's talking to me while he's playing cornhole with this other recruit on the official visit. And so our interview ends with him just like talking to this one guy. I'm like, all right, man, I'll talk to you later, bud. You keep playing cornhole. And I know who he was playing cornhole with. I don't technically think I could say who he's playing cornhole with, but it was another recruit in 23. And then Jonas, he was at Top Golf because Top Golf's part of the Saturday plans, I guess, to go out. Jonas was at Top Golf and he had to step off the tee box or the level or whatever to step inside and talk to me for a second. And I tried to keep it short, but like James, if you go back and read James's story with James's quotes, he loved it. So like I'm trying to go through these quotes and get it all in, and like his was like 5 minutes. Luckily, shout out to one of my buddies from college. He pays for a subscription to Otter.ai, which is this transcribing service. So everything I got could be partially transcribed to like 80% accuracy beforehand, and that made that a whole lot easier. But it was a lot, and it felt like you or somebody around UC was calling me about every hour. And my fiance acknowledged at the end of the day, she was like, "That's the most phone calls you've gotten in one day ever." And I was like, I agree. Because it was you. And you're like calling me and you're like half apologizing to me and half like, you're just like, well, this is how it goes. And then like, same thing with the people that are calling me from UC. It's like, hey, we're sorry, but this is not happening as well. And I'm like, I have to keep, like, this is my job. This is what I have to keep doing. Right. So I'm like, I will keep doing this. It's get a lot all at once. And naturally, I don't like bothering guys while they're on their official visits, but the mood was so high around there yesterday. And with everything that you've built with BCJ, the welcomeness when it comes to information is very high. So people will talk to us, and that's awesome. So that made it a little bit easier. But it was a lot all at once. It was like the old drinking through a fire hose scenario.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, I've been doing this a long time. There's never been anything like this. There's obviously been visit weekends when a lot of kids have committed. Like, I go back, I think, I go back to like early in Luke's tenure, like that first class. Like, so many of those visit weekends, like almost everybody committed. But it was spread out. It wasn't like chaos. This was just absolute chaos from almost the minute I got into my buddy's car to go to this concert. That's when it started. And I'm like, look, man, I hate to do this. And I know like we're supposed to be doing something that, doesn't really involve like me working, but I'm going, like the way this is going, I'm going to be working the entire time. He's like, yeah, as long as we get to see the concert, I don't give a shit. Like, do what you got to do.
Yeah.
It was a wild, like they just, normally everybody wants their day, right? And like the cool thing about it from an inside perspective is these guys were all selfless enough to be like, we want to do this together. We're not trying to do this like individually. We're a brotherhood. We all want to commit together and keep this momentum rolling.
Yeah, brotherhood and culture was like a big word, and obviously, I think in recruiting in general, it's a big like buzzword. And like James even mentioned, it's like a lot of people like to say culture, and like they'll say like, "Oh, our culture is what I pride ourselves on." But Cincinnati really does have some legs when they say that to guys, and I think when they get on these officials, they see it, and so that's why like you said, they were all pretty selfless, and they're like, "Hey, They ended up making a big day for Cincinnati, which ended up getting like. Cincinnati has, at least it had for a little bit. I don't know. You'd have to tell me if it still sits there. But Steve Wilfong has a big old piece that was the primary article right there on the front page of 24/7's national website. Like They created a day for the University of Cincinnati by making their day all a part of the day of Cincinnati. And this weekend, I guess, having the 3 today.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a cool thing to watch because you don't get that very often. We're gonna have you on the BBP tomorrow night, so I don't want to like dig too deep into each individual guy yet, but I'll ask you the question everybody's going to want to know. How many DBs can you take in a class? I'm pulling for 10. I want 10. I want 10 defensive backs in one class. I know there's nobody else that's ever done that, right? Like, I want 10 defensive backs in this class.
You and I talked before this. Is how I inside baseball again. We talked before this. That's how I got on this show right now. But we were joking that the defensive take as a group will be defensive linemen and it'll be defensive backs.
That's it.
No linebackers needed. And that's when we talked about. I mean, Trevor, I think, has always Trevor Carter, the top commit, second highest commit in the class, has always been a linebacker. But even Jason Hewlett, the guy from Youngstown Chain, he was a 3-star linebacker rated now. But when he was taken, he was a sniper. So which is another type of defensive back position. So they just love these guys, the spin down style. And I think you see it when it comes to NFL draft success that it's a very popular thing now. Is you got to have guys that can cover, and if you have guys that are defensive backs, naturally they can cover.
Yeah, and I think it's important to note, like, they're not just taking a bunch of 5'10", 160-pound defensive backs.
Yeah.
Almost all of these guys are 6'1", 6'2", in Amari Snowden's case, 6'3", and like 190, 200 pounds already. So they can become whatever. I mean, they can become regular linebackers. They can become coverage linebackers. They can be nickels. They can be outside corners. They can be boundary safeties, field safeties. Like, I think that's the thing that, like, as the game has changed, I think that's what it's important to realize is a lot of this is a reaction to the way the game is being played. And as long as these guys are physical and reliable tacklers, then that'll translate for the ones that add weight and move down or like whatever the case may be. And that's always been the case with the guys that they recruited in these spots. These aren't just soft, small outside cover guys. These are guys that realistically have the potential to do whatever their body grows into and allows them to do.
Yeah, and I mean, ultimately it boils down to the same conclusion: is Cincinnati doesn't pay Luke Fickell whatever they pay him because he looks good in a sweater vest. They pay him that kind of money because he can figure this stuff out, and it's all sitting on a big whiteboard. I imagine somewhere down in Clifton, just figuring out where all these guys fit. But like you said, they all fit a type, and that type can go all over the defense, and you figure it out from there, and that's what Luke Fickell, Kerry Combs, Colin Hitchler, Mike Tressel, all these guys. Even the recruiting guys, when it comes to helping them with Pat Lambert, Max, just figuring out where these guys slot all over the recruiting class and in the defense.
Here's the thing that excited me this weekend and kind of like being around and getting a feel for things. There might not be two defensive back recruiters in the country better than the combo of Kerry Combs and Colin Hitchler. Like, they are elite together, and they are elite individually. And then you put the two of them together, that might be an unstoppable force. They might just have to keep taking all these high-end defensive backs because everybody wants to come play for these two guys.
Yeah, and I think, like, and you can disagree with me on this, but I feel like they're also very different complementary personalities.
Sure.
Kerry is a very, like, high energy, like, let's go, like let's do this type of guy. And Hitchler is a very calibrated, X's and O's, thought out guy. It all works out. You know what I mean? It's hey, Luke Evans, you're going to play corner, and you're going to play corner with Jonas Dunklunga, because this is how Hitch sees it. And then Hitch talks about that. And it's all very well thought out and planned. And I think that's what makes them so dynamic, is they both have great personalities first. And I think this is a larger thing we can get into later, but both of them are very honest. That's the thing that comes down from Luke Fickell on down to everybody else in the staff. They're all honest about everything they're doing, and they just try and show that honesty. They tell guys where they fit in, and when you do things the right way, and it's weird. You'd think a lot of coaches would go for the more honest approach, but it doesn't seem to be a thing. Recruits love coaches that are honest, but in the same sense, you don't hear about it a ton. But Cincinnati, Mike Cummings is a guy that I think probably will be maybe our next top or whatever. I don't know, but he's a guy that's also
We're getting
very
there.
honest, and
We're
and that
getting there.
and that and that's what I think makes them such a dynamic. Is they're honest, they're open, but they also have a well thought out process and plan of how they're going to do it.
Here's the difference, I think, in that, Mick, and you can tell me what you think of this statement. There are a lot of coaches that try to be honest, but they're not, right? Like they're feeding you a line. They're just trying to say it with sincerity. And a guy like Carey, a guy like Hitch, as we're starting to learn more and more, a guy like Mike Cummings, they don't pull punches. Like they are honest with you in brutally honest ways. And that's where the sincerity comes from. If you're trying to be honest, kids can see through that. I say this all the time. You're dumb at 17, but you're not as dumb as 40-year-olds think you are. And especially there are a lot of, they've done a really good job recruiting intelligent kids into this program, and they can see through the bullshit. And Luke isn't a bullshitter. Like he'll tell you straight up what he thinks, and that permeates down because it allows the staff to feel that way. The staff feels like they can be honest because Luke is honest. Like Luke is straightforward, as straight a shooter as you'll find in college athletics. And I think that like trickles down throughout the entire staff and allows a guy like Colin Hitchler to really excel as a recruiter, allows a Kerry Combs to slide right back into Cincinnati like he never missed a beat, and allows for a Mike Cummings. He's had 3 offensive line official visits, and he's been hired at Cincinnati. Guess what? Or 4, I guess, if you want to include D'Artagnan and Tinsley. He's had 4 visitors. They've all committed to Cincinnati. Like, I think it starts from the top down, and kids sense that, man. They see through it when you're full of shit and just telling them what they think you want to hear.
Yeah, and I mean, no more exemplary part of it than Cummings. The earliest that all 3 of these offensive line commits got offered was April 28th, I believe, for Olivier. Like they were all offered within the past, and like you can't do that. You can't get guys to commit to a school without being open and honest with them in that short of a time span. Like he was, like you have to just be like shoot him straight. And like guys like him and Carey, they've been around for a while, so I think they might just be past the point in their career. Cummings seems like it's a natural thing to him, but like Carey and him have both been around for a while. They know what they're doing. Like they have no time to be like just to like Jenkins said about Cummings. He's like, I have no time to be your old man best friend. Like that's not what I.
You nailed it with that. Like that was, you have to know when you get a money quote like that, like, oh, this is gonna play. This is good stuff.
Yeah, but then there's guys like we probably the most honest assistant on the whole Cincinnati staff, who's somebody we haven't mentioned because he didn't like directly land a commitment. But Gino Godoli will be honest with his like waiter on what he wants to, or like he's just like he'll be honest with absolutely everybody. Like him and Hitch, I just think it's a natural thing where it's like they are not wired to like lie to people. They're not wired to like bull crap with people. Like it's not their thing. So they'll just tell you. While other guys, I mean, Fick's done it for a while too. Like some of these guys, you get to a point in your career where you're just done with it. And then other guys, they've just had it from the beginning. Overall, though, it's like throughout every Cincinnati assistant, it's like, it's just very honest because it's just how the system and the place in the program is wired.
Yeah. Take me through some of a brief thought on like the athleticism they're adding with an Aiden Green, with the Manny Covey, with the Luke Evans, like obviously Day McCullough. Like, yes, they added some big bodies in the trenches, but the athleticism, speed, and talent they're adding with some of these other guys is eye-popping.
Yeah, I mean, and that's it didn't come up a lot, and when it comes to like the big games of Georgia and Bama, because it really the trenches is where things get started, and it didn't, and those weren't necessarily equipped. But you have to be able to put up points. You have to have athletes to do that, to compete at the highest levels of college football. And obviously, Mike Brown did a great job when it comes to getting the Tyler Scotts, the Chris Scotts, the Trey Tuckers, like these guys in to restock the skill talent. But you can see it from this class, and even the guys that they'll have on official visits next weekend and going forward, there's next step to go, and they see that, and they're shooting to get that with Covey's a guy that is unranked right now, but with his sort of his
We
skill,
ranked him. While you were there, we ranked him.
Awesome. And I do think, I don't know when, but I think Andrew Ivins, our Florida guy, at some point will come out with a piece that's going to be tailored to talking about all the Cincinnati type of guy, all the guys that Cincinnati got out of Florida. This is let's see, 5 of them. Is that 4, 5?
Let's see.
4 of them. I think
1,
at least
2, 3, 4. 4 of the guys are Florida guys. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So 4.
Duclona, Covey, Jenkins, and Luke Evans.
Yeah, and I think Duclona sort of gets thrown, sort of stashed away because he was the last one last night. But I know the Cincinnati staff loves that guy. Ivins loves that guy. Like there's a ton of people that are very high on him, like because of the athleticism, the versatility, the layers he can bring to helping a defense. Same with Aiden Green, who he's going to be able to. Aiden's going to be.
You're breaking up, Mick.
Oh, I'm sort of driving through nowhere.
You're back. No, okay. You're back.
Got you. But like you said, the athleticism just makes them more multiple, which is obviously what we've seen they love to do. And it just shows that they're trying to take it to the next level and prove that.
Did Covey already say he'll be enrolling early? Do you know that?
I didn't talk about that, and but this does sort of talk about the whole official visit thing. Like, I think he's pretty shut down. So if he can enroll early, he's gonna. I imagine he will. I haven't been able to The last thing I want to do is bother him with more questions. So I will talk to him when I can. I will talk to him when I can, but I'm not sure. When I get that answer, I'll post it.
Is 23 just a high talent high school DB class? Like there's DB and wide receiver. There's always guys in that, That's why you see a lot of the teams have talent on the outside, but they can't win big because they haven't been able to properly recruit the trenches. I think it's just your ability to identify and have something specific that you're looking for, and then to key in on it and push forward and make that make your wish list, and then make your wish list come true. And as we're finding, they're very much doing that right now. I don't think it's anything specific that there's more high-end DB talent in this class than others. Alex said the awesome thing this season is seeing pull in an 84 to 86 range consistently with some borderline and actual 4 stars. Early commits have been good. There's top 30 recruiting class potential here. If you look, generally the range of top 25 to top 30 recruiting classes is right where Cincinnati is in terms of average rating. This class, their average rating is up over 87, or at least it was. I don't see where that number is. But that's kind of the sweet spot, is getting up over 87 if you're gonna pop a top 25, top 30 type class, and that's where they are right now. And guess what, Mick? Here's what people don't know. This wasn't the Big Fish weekend. Next weekend is the Big Fish weekend, right?
No. Yeah, and I think that was sort of this was sort of like let's get some of the. Am I gone again? Am I there?
No, I got you.
Uh-oh. All right.
I got you.
But this weekend, it seemed like it was sort of designed. Yeah, okay. It was designed to be guys that are maybe out of state, guys that they had a little more work to do, and just they got them on campus. Credit to the recruiting staff, and nailed the visits that made guys want to commit. But like you said, next weekend is supposed to be the one where guys they've had multiple visits to campus. They've been in their recruitment for a while. It's supposed to be more of a seal the deal kind of weekend. Last weekend, this weekend ended up just being, and that's why you even touched on it last week on both podcasts. Is hey, Dave McCullough, yeah, he's gonna commit on a Cincinnati visit, and it'd be very awkward if he committed to somewhere else.
Could you imagine? He committed. He was in a room with Kerry Combs and his family, and just decided to do it then. Could you imagine he's in a meeting room with Kerry Combs, and he's like, you know what? I'm going somewhere else, Coach. Coach wouldn't have let him leave the room. He'd have been
Hey,
stuck.
just like, Coach, I'm going to somewhere else. Let's go to Topgolf. All right, let's finish this up.
Can we get dinner? Is that where we're at? Can we get dinner?
Yeah, but like you said, like coming in this, you weren't expecting a ton. Next weekend is the one where you might be able to pick a few of them more, but this weekend they just really killed the visits.
Yeah, I mean, but when I say big fish, I mean next weekend you've got Amari Snowden, you've got
Jalen Thompson,
Anthony Brown. Like when I say big fish, I'm talking about like the splashy, like and that's not to say this wasn't a big, like there weren't big fish. Like obviously, Luke Evans is just a tick below a 4-star. Aiden Green just a tick below a 4-star. Dave McCullough's the second highest rated recruit and the number one defensive recruit rated in program history. Like, that's not to diminish anything from this class. It's just that some of the guys next week were kind of looked at as these are the guys they've been on the longest. They put the most work in. You know, like you mentioned, the 3 offensive line guys, they've only been recruiting for like 6 weeks.
Yeah. And that's the thing is like next week they're supposed to big fit. And like you're also got to think Jackson McGowan, I'm pretty sure, is on the docket for next weekend. Kamari, is he? No, he's a later, isn't he?
Who?
Is he McGowan?
I don't know
later?
Okay. I don't know when he's visiting. I know his name has not come up yet.
Okay, I know Kamari will be there because Jalen's going to be there. Like that was a design thing to get him up with Amari and Kamari and Jalen, all those guys. But like that, he's committed. But that is also a big fish. Like that is like one of the top guys on Cincinnati's tight end board is to keep Kamari Anderson and getting him on campus is huge too. Something we probably won't talk about much, but it's huge.
Yeah. Same as getting, we didn't talk about him at all, but getting Hewlett here, I think that kid's got star potential.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people are talking about it like anymore, but I talked to some people when he committed that were like, this could be the best player in the state.
Yeah, and it's the same thing with like Brady Drogos. Like this guy's a guy he's turning around from football playing basketball. Like when he finally gets with Gino, like year round, or like when he's able to devote himself to that. I don't know if anybody follows like the Instagram or like he's a guy he's working in the gym like every day at this point. Like he's getting big already with the athleticism he has. If he takes it bumped up to maybe a high end 3-star, low end 4-star, I wouldn't be surprised because he's so athletic for a quarterback that he's got some special traits to him and he's a winner. Like there's just some traits to him that you have to love, and he's another guy that when he was taken, it might seem like it was like okay, he's a Michigan quarterback, whatever, but he's big time too. I think he's someone I love.
So let's look, Mick. This is now the number 5 recruiting class in the country.
Yeah.
When you look at the commitment list, number 1, Day McCullough, number 2, Trevor Carter, number 3, Aiden Green, number 4, Kamari Anderson, number 5, Luke Evans, Brady Drogas, Braden Moore. Like when Braden Moore committed, that was a huge deal. And he's like, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th on the list now? Like the direction that this is trending in. And I know Evan Tengistal was here Thursday. I know you had a chance to talk to him, Jason Hewlett. And then you add a lot of these new guys that just popped in. Like this is stacking up as a legendary class, by far the best class in program history. And you look, the lowest rated guy in this class is Rohan Davey. He's an 84.96, right? If you go back 2 or 3 classes, that was their average. Like that was their average rating. That was like, you got an 85 in there. That was like, holy shit. Like they're doing some work. You have to go all the way down to Manny Covey, who's an 86.1. And that's what there's now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 players, 86 or higher in this class. What they're doing is unbelievable.
Sorry. Yeah, and I think that sort of ties in. You were breaking up on my end, so if you can't hear me, that makes sense. But
I got you.
Okay, but like the whole like top 25, top 30 class question is you never know what's going to happen, but to be top 5, you don't see teams that are, like Texas Tech's going to finish top 25, top 30 just because they are where like it's hard to fall from 5 down to like 40. You have
Right.
to do more things wrong than you have to do. Like, so long as they just keep on this path, they're going to be fine. Like, you have to do things wrong at that point to fall that far, and it just doesn't seem like they're on that path with the momentum they have and the guys they're after to fall, like take a tumble. So
Right.
that's promising in itself.
Like Texas Tech is second. Their average rating is 87.76. Cincinnati's average rating is 87.32. Like they are a fraction away in average rating from the team that has the number 2 class. Like, yeah, what Notre Dame is doing right now is like unheard of. But other than that, Cincinnati's right in the mix with almost everybody else.
Good old fashioned Big 12 rivalry right there.
Love it. Actually, when you look at average rating, I think USC might be number 1. 94.38.
That would make sense.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they've got a lot of momentum out there at this stage. So, is there anything else before I let you get back to driving? I don't want to distract you too much. Anything else you want to hit on from these past 2 days?
No. Do you have anything? Well, is this the nightcap? I was going to ask if you have anything about the camp, but
this is a live nightcap. I'm going to be honest with you, Mick. I didn't get to see shit today at camp. There was so much happening. Do you mean from Thursday? Is that what you're talking about?
Didn't know if there was some big takeaway. Like last year around this time, like you just saw 6'3" Amari Snowden. You're like, hey, this guy.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't camp. What shocked me today from camp was Jermaine Matthews still hanging around. Like, that's got to be a good sign. He was there Thursday for camp. He official visited Friday, Saturday, Sunday. The official visit ended. Camp started at 1 o'clock, and he was still there for like 3.5 hours afterwards. And you had Amari Snowden there. Like, I seeing that type of stuff, man, it just gives you such a good vibe about the momentum.
Not to mention Khalil Ali's somewhere on that campus as well at this moment.
I think they're out to dinner, probably. They're just getting done with dinner, would be my guess as to where they are. You should have seen. So at camp, one of the main ways that guys got paid in the old days was to work camps in the summer. Like that was how you made some extra money. So most of the team was there, and I'll get into this a little bit later as we go through this session here. But a lot of the new guys were there and got to chop it up with some of them. But a bunch of the vets were around and just hanging out and talking and catching up with a Jermaine Matthews, with Amari Snowden, like the picture I showed today. Sauce was in town. He had a couple days off and came back to Cincinnati and was just chopping it up on campus. Like, it was funny. There was a bunch of kids from Detroit there today that came down to camp, and like younger kids, like 20, 23, 24, 25. And almost all of them from Detroit made their way over at some point in time to dap up Sauce. And he made time to talk to every one of them. And after the camp, if they wanted a picture, he took a picture with them. Like, that dude is just unbelievable as a human. And, I took the picture with him and Snowden today. And I was like, this is going to blow up because people, like, it looks like Big Brother, Little Brother, for real, for those two. Like, it's almost a carbon copy how they look. So I didn't get a chance to watch almost any of it. There was just so much happening. Like, and it was like we talked about, every like 15, 20, 30 minutes, it was like something new was happening that you're like, seriously? Okay, I gotta get up on this. I gotta take care of that. I gotta take care of this. And then next thing I know, I looked over and they were doing one-on-ones. It was like, oh shit, the camp's almost over.
And that, like, what you mentioned there is something that I think it was I think Jonas and James mentioned it. But it was a common theme of talking to the guys. Like, I don't know what it is. I don't know. I can't compare this anywhere, but apparently Cincinnati, like, the players just hang out with each other more than any other college most of these guys have been to. I don't know if that's like a lot of local guys. I don't know if that's just a community. Like, the culture when it comes to that is just something that I think all the guys notice, because you see these places and it's like we're teammates, but we're not really brothers. But it seems like everywhere at Cincinnati, everybody comes away thinking that the whole team is just really brothers, and it's not like this guy's a running back, this guy's a
Yeah,
cornerback. They
I can
don't talk
speak
to
to
each
that.
other.
I can speak to that a little bit. It is a big part of what they do, especially like in the winter, like into the spring. They separate these guys up where they're not just linebackers and running backs and tight ends. It's like you have a team and you have somebody from each different area of the program on your training, your lifting squad, or the guys that you're doing mat drills with or whatever, and they kind of force you to get to know everybody. And then what happens is everybody's comfortable with everybody because they like. I saw the change in this and talked about it to a lot of guys like in Fickell's second year, because they were like, look, there were guys that told me straight up, like, if they were a cornerback, they didn't know an offensive lineman. Like, they couldn't speak on it. Like, they couldn't speak on anything about any of those guys because they just didn't exist in the same stratosphere. The offensive lineman did their things. The defensive back did their things, and that's just kind of how the culture works at a lot of places. Luke and Brady do a heck of a job, like, demanding that you're going to know that, like, all these guys it's going to be a brotherhood. It's not just going to be Tyler Scott and Trey Tucker become friends for life. It's Trey Tucker and, John Williams and Malik Van and Javon Hicks. Like, they hang out as a family, and it's not, it's not what you think from what you see at most places. I think and it resonates with kids, right? You talk to the kids, they tell you it does.
Yeah, and that was funny. That brings me back to the Thursday camp, and I told somebody from Cincinnati at the end. I said, "Hey, you guys gonna let Trey and Anthony separate at any time tonight?" And they go, "Oh, Trey's hanging out with Anthony." It's just Trey like feels organic to go out there and just hang out with guys that like he feels
Right.
like he knows, like he just knows Anthony. Like, I don't think this is a thing that they purposely set up and said, "Hey, Trey, go hang out with Anthony Brown all night." It was just an
Right.
organic thing that Trey did because he saw this guy. I imagine they've talked before. Like, this is something that just happened because it's the environment that is built within Luke Fickell's program.
Yeah. They just don't allow you to not be part of the brotherhood, right? They don't allow you to isolate yourself, because if you isolate yourself, it's never going to work here. And the guys that do isolate themselves, find themselves on the outside looking in.
And that's why the whole like guys don't want to transfer thing. And then there's just all
Right.
that layer to it. And the culture is strong. Is ultimately the culture is very strong in Clifton.
And that's the thing, Mick, because I am a roll my eyes to the point that, like, the muscles in my my eyeballs strain when you hear culture, because it is such and you touched on this earlier, it's such a buzzword in so many places. But there are places that it's real. There are places, like, that's why everybody talks about it, because everybody's trying to actually, they're trying to create the places that it's real. But you don't just say culture and get culture. It has to be doing things, like I said, like forcing these guys to get to know everybody, forcing these guys to spend time. Like, if you go to higher ground and you see like where guys are sitting, sure, there are some like a couple quarterbacks will sit with, a quarterback will sit with the quarterback, but for the most part, it is spread out to the point where offensive linemen are sitting with tight ends and defensive linemen are sitting with wide receivers, and it's just because you don't just become friends with guys that play your position, right? Like, as you get a chance, you start to become friends with all the other guys around you and you get to know them when you're kind of, I hate to say it as forced, but when it is like something that's ingrained in the program, like you're not just going to go through here and not know all these guys that you're spending 5 years with. I think a lot of places, like, that's where they talk culture, but they miss the accountability that actually comes with, I'm not just accountable to the captain in my room or the leader in my room. I'm accountable. I can be a wide receiver. I'm accountable to Malik Vann and Javon Hicks because they're going to let me know if I'm not doing my shit right.
Yeah, and it goes. We're talking about players, but it can go. If we wanted to go on and on about it, it can go top down. Like Hitch knows Nate Letton. Like there's
right.
Chris Scott knows the offensive line GA. Like all these guys, anybody with inside the program, it's a whole thing. It's you don't see guys that are just like, oh, I didn't know who this person was. Or you could go to some programs and be like, hey, who's that person over there with the Cincinnati shirt on or whatever? And they go, oh, I don't know. And this is a guy that's been in the program for 3 years. Like, how do you not know that?
Right.
But that would not happen just because the thing, it's a family, it's a culture. And those are two things that, like we both said, are just overused by everybody. But
I hate the word.
It actually does mean something.
In so many ways, I hate that word because so many people use it but have no intention of actually like building it. They just say it because it's the thing to say. To build it, you have to actually mean it. You have to have a guy like Brady that is responsible for cultivating it, like outside of practice, right? Like, so many people think that like culture is just the team, like on the field. It's a million things more than that, and that's where Brady and the strength staff comes in, and Aaron Himmler and the training staff comes in, and I don't know. It just, to me, it's interesting to see the other side of what drives me nuts when people use the word and then get to watch a program that's actually about the word. Oh, by the way, I know this is completely off topic, but I ran into Jaheim today.
Yep.
245.
That's crazy. I'm just talking to somebody. Oh, it was a different guy. Like, it's crazy to see these guys when they get in the weight program, like strength, like it's just like Chris Scott. When I saw him in high school, when I first started covering it, he was just like, he was like most high school wide receivers, probably like 170, 180, like thin arms, thin legs. Just he got open, and that's why he was good. But like Chris looks like a college wide receiver now. He looks like a grown man. Like I dapped him up, and he's like, "Can't give me towards it." I'm like, "Okay, Chris, like you're gonna pull the shoulder out here." Like, I'm standing next to Lenny on Thursday, and he's like towering over me, and it's like, are you like, what are you, an offensive tackle? Like, what are we doing here? And it's crazy. Props to Brady. Props to all those guys over there in the strength department.
Yeah. How much longer you got? How far away from home are you?
I've got like another hour and a half or so. I mean, I can stay on here for as long as you want, but I don't know what. I don't think you need a co-host. You seem like you are pretty good at this.
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily. What I was going to say is, if you want to stick around, like maybe we open it up to questions.
Yeah, I'll take some questions.
All right, we'll take some questions. I'll read them to you because I know you're driving. I don't need you looking at your phone while you're.
My phone's tucked away right now.
Yep. Right. So if you got questions for me, if you got questions for Mick, if you want to get your question right immediately to the top of the list, then donate right underneath the chat. There's a little $sign. You can donate. That'll move your question to the top of the list. If not, just load up some questions in the chat, and we will we'll try to get as many answered as possible. Any update on AJ Harris? That ship has sailed. AJ Harris is not coming to UC. We'll keep things honest here. No, Jaheim wants to play linebacker, but he's going to get a chance to get after the quarterback.
I was told last week when I was asking about AJ that he was SEC all the way.
Yeah, that one's not happening. The question from Paul sounds to me like maybe Jaheim's pushing to get closer to the ball. Maybe he wants to be the next Majay. No, he'll relish in getting some opportunities to be an outside guy and get after the passer. But Jaheim's future is at linebacker, and yeah.
And the thing is with that, like they don't want him to be the next. Oh
no, they don't want him to be the next Majay.
No,
that's not who he is.
And that's not what they want to have guys that can be like Jaheim and be both, and then have 8 defensive back. Like that's what the whole goal is of the defense. So him being the next Majay is not like the plan. I can't turn on my mic. I'm driving, or my camera, guys. I'm driving.
Yeah, he's driving. He's in the middle of nowhere. There's no way he can turn on the camera. What are your expectations for the team this season, Mick? Let's hear that.
Come to the corner and the quarterback position, replacing those guys and getting that stocked up.
Yeah.
Regardless, I mean, you got to feel confident going into the conference. The out of conference is obviously the part. Really, Arkansas is the parts you're not sure about. But there's no reason not to be like hopeful or look at it and think that they could maybe chase another conference title. That's just my like recruiting analyst version of it. I don't really think that. Like I don't really go through that. So it's more a question for you.
I mean, they get my answer to that all the time. I think they look for like hearing what others think. I think, look, Arkansas is going to be really, really difficult. Like really, really difficult, especially for a team with what's going to be essentially a new quarterback with questions. And maybe those questions will be answered. I think there's plenty of talent at corner that can answer those questions and step in. Do I think there's another sauce on this roster right now? Maybe. But he's going to be a freshman. So we'll see. But I think like with Todd Bump, you're going to have a guy that's played a ton of football in Arquan Bush out there. Taj Ward has played a lot of football for this team. Justin Harris is a guy it's been on special teams, but that's been the recipe, right? Guys that have played a lot of special teams step up their role. I like Todd Bumpus. I like Sammy Anderson. But is there a guy that's special in that cornerback room? If there is, I think his initials or his first name are 2 initials, JQ. So we'll see. Quarterback, they keep fighting. Let's see how it goes at higher ground. Those are things we don't have answers to. When the last chapter closed, they were fighting things out and they were very even. Let's see if somebody has a big summer and takes another step because of the pressure of knowing I've got to win this job. I think that's the exciting thing about getting to higher ground is seeing where Ben Bryant and Evan Prater are after battling it out in the spring. Who's ready to take that next step? You feel like Jaheim is so behind on the linebacker depth chart. He's a starter. He's a 1. There's no behind. Like him and Wilson Huber are the starting linebackers. There's no second guessing that. When this season starts, you're going to see Wilson Huber, you're going to see Jaheim Thomas, and you're going to see Deshaun Pace as the starting linebackers. Trying to be pragmatic. How many of these 8 are enrolled at UC in 15 months? Jim, I don't know. We lost Mick. Hopefully he'll be back. They're all very solidly committed to UC right now. To my knowledge, I don't believe any of them will be taking additional official visits. If they do, that's something that the staff will have to deal with. But my understanding is they've committed. They're 100% in on UC. And the official visit process is over for these guys that committed today. I know this is the thing that's hard is it's so new because they all just committed within the last 24 hours. But Mick, my feeling, my read on it is, welcome back. my read on it is these are kids that are now locked into Cincinnati, and you won't see them parading around the country taking additional official visits. Hello, are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me? Yeah.
Yeah, I got you.
I mean, just to touch on that one, Luke Fickell's been pretty straightforward his whole tenure in Cincinnati. Like, once you're in, you're sort of in, and that's like, so it's hard to see any of these guys like, obviously we don't know what's going to happen down the line, but it's hard to see any of these guys completely just falling out and signing somewhere else, just because that's not really the guys that Cincinnati goes after.
Right. Is JQ on a pace to start this year? Maybe. We'll see what happens at higher ground. He had worked his way onto the second team. He was running a lot with the twos as we got through spring. Is he a lock to start at this point? No. Does he have a chance to play his way into that role? Yes. My guess would be it would be something similar as we saw to Sauce, where it happened organically as the season wore along and they just couldn't keep him off the field anymore. Do I think he'll be starting at Arkansas? No, probably not. Do I think he could be starting by October? Yeah, I think I wouldn't rule that out at all. How choosy do they get with 23 offers next weekend? Everybody that's coming in has an offer. And like we talked about, there's going to be the guys that they're bringing in are guys that they've been recruiting for a long time and are absolutely takes for the most part in terms of who is visiting next weekend. Stay tuned to BearcatJournal.com as Mick Walker will keep you up to date on who's going to be on campus as we go through the week. Right, Mick? Uh-oh. He's got to be in the middle. I went through this last night. He's got to be in the middle of nowhere. All right, Mick's going to let us go. That's fine. We'll keep moving. We'll keep moving. Why did Issa Jarman transfer? Wasn't a culture fit. So sometimes that's how it goes. When you build a strong culture, some guys aren't intended for that culture. What about Ivan Pace? I think Ivan Pace will back up Jaheim Thomas. I think when they go 4 down linemen and Jaheim becomes kind of that outside rush end and in a 4 down set with him in a sub package, you'll see Ivan Pace on the field. I think Ivan Pace is going to play a really good amount of football, but he'll be behind Jaheim at this point. I hope we don't do what Notre Dame did last year. We're just rotating through quarterbacks. It doesn't seem like Luke. We have no indication that Luke Fickell is going to just rotate through quarterbacks. He's going to pick somebody, and that's going to be their guy. That's been the case with him. Now we've only, we haven't had a ton of examples, but if you go back to when, 2019, when clearly Ritter was dinged up, his shoulder was bothering him. There was an easy opportunity if Luke was wishy-washy to go with Ben Bryant, and all the way to the point that he couldn't anymore. He's stuck with Desmond Ritter. So I don't see him as being wishy-washy in any way, shape, or form. Can we have a bunch of 3 to 4 star bumps at the top of the list? Potentially, because there's guys that are close. Like, if you let me pull up the list again. I had it on the team rankings. Commitments. So Dave McCullough is a 4-star. Trevor Carter's a 4-star. Aiden Green in the composite is an 88.48, just off of 4-star. Kamari Anderson, just off of 4-star, 88.28. Luke Evans, just off of 4-star, 88.26. Brady Drogish, like Mick talked about, is within striking range there as an 87.9. Braden Moore, also an 87.9. There's a decent number of guys that if they show out and continue to play well, that they could see themselves get that bump. Are any of them locks for it? No, but you have to have guys that are in that striking range that if they, camp well this summer, or if they go out and they have a great senior year, or if they get into the all-star circuit at the end of the season, and they go into those settings and really perform. Those are ways that you can see guys move up. And I think you've got a group of 4 or 5 guys that are right in that range of, what's it take? An extra couple tenths of a point for these guys to bump into 4-star. And then, the question there becomes, are you talking 4-star and 24/7? Are you talking 4-star in the composite? In the composite, all it takes for any of those guys is one site to love them more than the others and really give them a lift, where all of a sudden, maybe all the other services are just a tick below 4-star, but one site really falls in love with the kid, and now that kid's a 4-star composite. So a bunch, I don't know about a bunch, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think there's 5 kids in that range. Jermaine Matthews, if they get Jermaine Matthews, he's in that range. Kamari Burns, he's not too far off of that range. So yeah, it's totally possible. Sorry, we missed Mick on that one. He's out. Darren, thank you. It's a blast. This is what we do, man. This is a lot of people were like, why would you go to a concert and work like you did last night? I don't get to pick when the news happens. I just know that my job is to cover the news. That's why, I also put a great team together that can help out in situations like yesterday. But that's what we do. Like, the news happens as the news happens. I told my best friend right as soon, we weren't even out of my subdivision, and I was like, I'm gonna be on my phone pretty much all night. Sorry. But when shit's got to get done, shit's got to get done. It's great. When will UC football land its first 5-star? I know that's a popular question. There's so few of them, which I disagree with completely. There's about the same number of 5-stars in football that there is in basketball. It doesn't make any sense to me. When are they going to get a top 20 recruit? I have no idea. But if you continue to hit high 4-stars and guys that are just outside of 4-star range, you're going to be fine. Like, are you going to be Alabama? No, you're not going to be Alabama. But as long as you're picking the right guys out of those groups and you're able to develop, like, think about what UC's been able to develop. They just had 8 mid to low 3-star guys get drafted. Now think what happens when instead of an average of 83 or 84, you're dealing with an average of 87 or 88. So I don't get caught up in like the 5-star thing in football. One, because I think there should be 50 to 75 5-stars in football. If there's 25 to 30 in basketball, how is there not, given all the positions, all the differences between football and basketball, how is there not 50 5-stars? There's essentially 10 positions. There should be 10 5-stars from every position. I know they want to make it exclusive, and I think in football, they try to do like 32 first round guys that are first round, trajectory, first round, projections as they're coming out of high school. But I think there should be more of them. When will they? I don't know. It's just going to be a matter of when do they hit that right kid that sees the vision. My guess would be once they're playing a year or two in the Big 12, they'll make a splash and have the right, connection with the kid that leads to it. I just don't think it's not to say that it's not super important, because obviously the more talent you have, the better you're going to be as a broad spectrum. I just, there's so few of them. I don't put a ton of weight on it. No, I don't. Do I have an idea of how big this class is going to be at this point? I'm guessing with the restrictions lax, and now you don't have to stop at 25. I could see it maybe the high school numbers get closer to 25 because now you're not having to factor the transfer numbers and all that stuff into that number. So maybe closer to 25 than normal. I can't imagine like you don't. Here's what you don't want. You don't want 30 true freshmen on your roster out of your 85, right? It's just not. It's not sustainable. It's not feasible. It doesn't make sense to have that many freshmen. So I unless you have like a massive transfer situation where you don't have any choice but to go out and get a ton of freshmen to restock your roster. I don't like going to 25. Then you have 60 returning kids. I think that's ideal, or 60 veterans, depending on what you add in the transfer portal. Um, you know, Kamari Anderson and Shema Mate are duplicates. I feel I haven't seen Kamari Anderson enough to say this for sure. I know they are very high on Kamari Anderson and his potential. Shimon, and it's with a C, not an S. Shema Mate is a freak. I'm not going to put anybody. That's not fair to Kamari Anderson to say he's a duplicate of Shema Mate because Shema Mate runs 19 miles an hour, 17 to 18 miles an hour uphill. It's not fair to say another kid is a duplicate of that. I know the guy that was most proud of his performance this weekend was Sammy Anderson because there were so many DBs that committed, and he felt like he interacted with a lot of them. I know Chris Scott was the host for Aiden Green, and that was the first one, so he was fired up to get his first verbal commit from a visit. Those guys take a lot of pride in that. I know JQ is a guy that's taken some pride in that. That's when you have a big visit like that, you're going to have a lot of guys that hosted visits, and especially when you have what are we at 8 of the 11 12 commits that they hosted that have committed. Everybody was talking to that. I got my guy. Like I got my guy and your guy and added another guy as well. So ooh. Hold on a minute. Let's take a small pause here and maybe add another guest. How do I not? How do I not have this saved? Sorry. Bear with me for a minute. You guys, it's going to be more than worth it. You guys just hold on for a second. While we're waiting, I would like to take a moment to thank UCF for everything that happened this weekend at Cincinnati. It wouldn't have been possible without the Knights of Gold and their dedication to the cause. Now I'm frustrated. We'll get it squared off in just a second. All right. By the way, Galactic sauce on my cheeseburger tonight was fantastic. Yeah. That stuff is phenomenal. Phenomenal. This is a good question. Do recruits commit with the hope that their commitment will stop the coaching staff from recruiting their position? May not be explicitly, but assumed. So the UC staff is very, very honest about where the numbers are. And they let kids know. And I think, like, honestly, that was one of the things that kind of spurred what happened this weekend is that they let kids know, look, like, we are at this point in our recruitment process, and these are the numbers, and if you want in, the door is open for you right now, but we're having more visits next weekend, and if you wait and we get to next weekend, we have to do what we have to do. Like, they're open and honest about that, as open and honest as humanly possible, in terms of letting kids just understand this is where we stand, this is where we're at, we want you to be a part of this. But if you've got, like, if you want to go on other visits, that's fine. Go and do whatever it is you feel is best for you. But we are also, in that process, going to do what we feel is best for us. And we have other visits scheduled. These kids are going to come to town. There is very much a possibility that if they commit, that changes where we stand with you. And I think that's the only way to do it, is to just, like, be straight up, be an open book. Tell kids, door's open. The door eventually is going to close if you don't want in, and if you want to wait. And if you want to wait, that's fine. And maybe it circles back around and the door is still open. But as it stands, this is where we're at. This is where we're moving. And if you want in, jump in. And if not, you have to do what you have to do. But also, we have to do what we have to do. Do you know who all was redshirted last year? I think the only person that didn't redshirt last year was Brian Kretz. I think everybody else played under 4 games from that entire class last year. So I think everybody's got that extra year except for Threats. Paul, no. We don't do that until Wednesday or Thursday. Things are fluid. There are some guys we have talked about, like Jalen Thompson, Amari Snowden. There's some guys that have made it public that they're going to be here. But Mick will have all that information as it gets confirmed. And again, there's a lot of moving parts now, especially 8 guys commit. Like, let's see what happens throughout the beginning of this week. See if there's anybody else that jumps into the fold from these 11 guys, and see how that impacts next weekend. The Anthony Brown, Amari Snowden, Jalen Thompson, there's some locks at the top of that class that are going to be here. The rest, we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. Yes, coaches are fired up. Like, it was so funny today talking to people that are like, my head's spinning. I don't even know how to explain this. I don't know how to put into words what we've experienced over the past 24 hours, because it was just one after another, after another, after another. I'm in. Coach, I'm in. And it was crazy. Ooh, we have a new guest. Is everybody excited for our new guest? Want to know who it is? Ready? Hi, buddy.
Just
How
like
are
to
you?
announce, I'm doing great. I'd like to announce that I'm committing to the University of Cincinnati, class of 2023.
Oh, let's see if we can get through here. Send them over to Orlando Tech. Almost forgot to thank UCF. Yeah, we want to make sure. The Galactic Fried Chicken Nightcap greater than the NBA playoffs. Will I be releasing this as a podcast? No, I'll probably leave this. We'll see. I don't know. That's a tough call. Weather was perfect this weekend for visits. No, sure. Steve's a veteran. Dishes must be done.
So, Steve, I need you and all the people to know I haven't even gotten to the dishes yet. We had a birthday party, so we were late. Much like Luke Fickell, I'm a creature of habit in terms of like schedules for bedtime and stuff like that. Unlike Luke Fickell, I don't make $5 million a year. So like just now got the kids to bed and everyone kind of settled down. So for the good nightcap watchers and listeners of Bearcat Journal, and for my buddy Chad, I put the dishes on hold to be here with you guys.
So let's get to your angle on this, because here was my thought process. So Friday night, my best friend hits me up, and I haven't been to a fish show. We talked about this at the beginning of the show, but we've got a lot of people in here right now. Maybe didn't hear that part of it. My buddy hits me up. He's like, "Hey, you want to go to fish tomorrow?" And my thought process, like, we know Dave McCullough was expected to announce. We had that content ready. And I was like, you know what? Saturday of official visits, nothing happens, right? Like Saturday, if you're going to do anything on an official visit weekend, it's on Saturday, because the exit interview on Sunday is when kids commit. Like that's how it goes.
Right.
So I was like, I think I could sneak off to this fish show and like be good. Like I think the universe is with me. So McCullough commits 2 hours early. We won't get into that. But that actually, for me, my buddy was showing up at like 2:30. So he committed at 2. I'm like, this is great. I'm done. Like, let's get on the road and let's go. And then I get in the car and all hell breaks loose. And I'm like, ow, this is bad. Like, I'm gonna be working this entire trip out. And he's like, do what you got to do. I don't care. I'm going to see fish. I don't care what you do. You do your thing. Take me through Justin's life, because your life is chaotic as hell as well. When those 4 names showed up yesterday in our text messages, that not only was Day committing today, but these really, 4 guys are committing today too.
We're really peeking behind the curtain, huh?
Well, this is how it happened. Like, you know, I assume you have the same sources as me. I don't know. I'm not in your text messages. But I got word that
sometimes you are.
Sometimes I am. These 4 kids, sometimes people are erased from those text messages. These 4 kids are in. Like, what was your day? How understanding was your wife yesterday when you told her, honey, I'm probably out until 8, 9?
It was just a lot of like, I'm gonna need like 10 minutes here, 15 minutes here, you know, and then again. So, and she doesn't, she like not just recruiting, just sports in general. She is not interested, nor does she care. So trying to explain to her like, hey, this is an official visit weekend. Like her eyes would have rolled in the back of her head before I finished that sentence. So it's more just like, I need 10 minutes for something real quick, 15 minutes for something real quick. And then I'll be back. So it was like that, but it was also like, you know, I was trying to mow the grass yesterday and stuff like that. It was a mess. But you're right. You know, you as you and Bearcat Journal have covered, it was obviously going to be a big official visit weekend, and I'm sure you were doing the same thing I was, which was asking around to a couple people like, so what are we expecting? I think it was one of those things where you know, no one wants to oversell and then under, you know, deliver.
Right.
Yeah. So it was kind of like, oh, you know, yeah, we're hoping maybe we can get a few guys and get them to say yes, or get some momentum rolling or something like that. And I'm, you know, again, I assume that they probably were thinking like, yeah, this would be great if we could maybe get a little bit of good news. And then it became very clear very quickly on Saturday that Like it was going to be a little bit better than just a little bit good news. And yeah, it started with the highest rated defensive
Defense,
commit
yeah.
in program history. And that was like, okay, this is good. And then it just, like you said, it kind of got out of control. So yeah, for me, it was kind of like, I think there was some hope, and maybe in the back of their heads for some of the people we were talking to, like, yeah, we have a chance to kind of do something special. But I think maybe there's a little hesitancy beforehand to say, like, we're going to be pushing double-digit commits this weekend.
They're not telling us that ever. Like, even in best case scenario, like again, at camp today, everybody was just kind of laughing. Like, is this really happening? Is this like, are we really going through one of these official visit weekends where like we're going to hit on 80, 75, 80, 90% of the visits? Like, that's not how this works. Especially jumping up when you look, all these kids had other officials scheduled to other legit Power 5 programs, like right. Penn State, Manny or Green, Aiden Green just visited Clemson, right? Like,
last weekend.
Yeah, like the competition, it was like, okay, this is going to be really interesting to see how they stack up now that the game is changing and they're recruiting at a little bit of a higher level. Matthew, you're not wrong. We'll get to that in a little bit. This.
He was a big
you are not
factor.
Wrong.
Big
you
factor.
Are not wrong. We'll get to that in a few minutes. Oh, and by the way, no drinking on the job. I've had a long weekend. Tweet user, kiss my ass. I'm having a couple beers tonight, okay?
I didn't went to a fish concert last night.
And I went to a fish concert and stayed sober so that I could wake up this morning and go to a football camp. Like,
you were the one person at the concert?
That was actually hilarious. Like, looking around and going, "Oh man, that's what I look like in my 20s." Oh boy. But just the momentum in and of itself of like, yes, we're stepping up in a level of competition, and guess what? We're not missing a beat was impressive.
Yeah, I mean, look, they have kind of every possible advantage, momentum, whatever you want to call it, working in their favor, right? Like this, the whole if strike when the iron is hot, like it's scorching hot right now, but that doesn't guarantee that you're just gonna deliver when that's the case. And so, like you said, you give them credit, they're putting in work midway through. These guys aren't even done with their official visits yet on Saturday, and they're like, yeah, I'm committing. And there's other guys that were there this weekend who, whether they committed or not, like, that they're still working on, and they probably feel like they did a lot of good work and are getting closer. And then they have another big official visit next weekend, and then a couple guys coming in the weekend after that, I believe. So it's like they still have, plenty of things kind of on the docket, and certainly no one should assume that just because it wasn't one of the 8 people to commit this weekend that was there, that it's not going to happen. But it certainly can't help either that you see all these guys who you're visiting with who are just like, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and hop on board right now.
Okay, I do want to talk about this for a second. It was we're talking about the fish show. And remember, like when fish was popular, when I started going to fish shows in the late 90s, early 2000s, it is still all of us. It is still, the crowd is very, like, there were a lot of Mercedes in the parking lot. There were not a lot of Mercedes in the parking lot when I used to go to fish shows back before Kelsey was born. There were limos waiting outside afterwards. And my friend is like, limos? And I'm like, yeah, those are the people that are rich enough to know I'm not driving home after this. Like, I have enough money to get a limo. Like, I'm not dealing with what the after effects of how do we get home from this parking lot. But it was, my buddy was like, I can't believe how many 45-year-old people are here. And I'm like, ow, we're 44. Like, this is us. This is what we did. There were 3 guys sitting in front of us. They're like, we've been coming to these shows. Like, this is our escape. We're married. We got kids. We own businesses. We've got families. And I'm like, yeah, me. Like, you guys are me. And this is who we are. You guys just kept going to fish shows when I took a 12-year break. So we're not. There were actually a lot of like late 20s into their like early to mid 30s people that were around us. So I assume there were others in the crowd. I was just people watching them specifically because I was like, oh man, that was us like 15 years ago. That was us at these shows.
There were definitely some people, I'm sure, who were there who were like listening to, like, their parents were listening to fish.
Yeah.
And
who
you know,
grew up on fish.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
It was a wild scene. It was a wild scene. Like, it's one of those, like, good God, we are fucking old now.
Life comes at you fast type moments.
I skipped 15 years of fish shows. I showed back up, and it was the same people that were at fish shows 15 years ago. All right. Anyway, Carey. His hands are all over this. I talked about it with Mick. I'm going to go out on a limb, and I won't maybe say number one, but I don't know how there could be a more dynamic recruiting tandem at one position or one like position group than Colin Hitchler and Carey Combs.
And they complement each other, right? Maybe balance each other out should be.
They're two totally different humans. Ivy League educated, West Side, like all energy, you know. Yeah. Oh, you want to hear something? You want to hear something great? I heard this today. I heard this today at camp. Carey apparently has like a Coleraine, like, you know, one of those things that goes in the lockers, like the nameplate type deals.
Sure.
They are going to award, Carey's going to award the thing for somebody to put in their locker every week for the Coleraine Player of the Week from the Bearcats. Like you know, Brady does with like the right. You know, like Tough and Nasty, the dudes of the week. Carey's going to do it. Who embodies just Coleraine guys. You had to know something like that was coming. It
fits.
He was talking to Hicks and Willis and a couple of those guys today. It was like, oh, I'm getting it out, and I'm gonna write you get to autograph it and put it in your locker that week when you're the Coleraine dude of the week.
I forget. I was talking to him. It was in spring ball, but I was like one of the new guys, and he was like, "Oh yeah, you know, great kid, tough. Could have been a Coleraine kid." And I'm like, I should start keeping a tally of how many times he's gonna describe like Coleraine type kid. What, you know, whether they went there or not. Kid. That's what he knows what he's looking for.
I can say old. Yeah, I'm old as shit, brother. Like I don't hide that at all. It is what it is. This is an interesting question. Does this put other programs on notice? I.e., how does it not, right?
Yeah, the playoff probably did that too, right? Like,
sure. And then 9 guys drafted. I think this is just the next step in like, this is, for all intents and purposes, this is supposed to be the start of this like the official visit month for a lot of these kids. And if you look, a lot of these 8 kids that committed today, almost all of them had, like I said, other Power 5 official visits that were on the docket. And you know Luke like I know Luke. I don't think many of those visits are going to be taken.
Tearing up a lot of those schedules for the rest of the month. For this
right? Like, that's it. That's one of the most impressive things of all this to me is these guys all said, all right, we're done. We're shutting it down. This is what we found, what we were looking for.
In terms of putting other programs on notice, I think what it probably does, because you know, Cincinnati has been competing already with a lot of these programs, and at times like winning some of these battles, whether it's regional or, you know, like the Minnesota, Iowa State, kind of that type level Power 5 program. What I think this shows is like those places always had kind of a few things in the chamber that they could use, or that maybe like still gave them a little bit of an edge, even if Cincinnati's having more success on the field than they are. Now I think they're maybe realizing pretty quickly, like, all right, this is what we're up against when we no longer have those advantages, when we can't really push like a power conference schedule and things like that. You know, it was tough to beat Cincinnati before, and now I think maybe there's realization, or at least some proof, like it's going to be even tougher now based on the power conference, but also them going to the playoff and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that stuff is hard to quantify until it happens, until you see we're not going on this visit. And we're not just talking about like the lower levels of the Power Five anymore. Like you're talking about Clemson and Penn States and, you know,
Right.
like teams that are, while maybe not Alabama or Georgia, like at this point in the process, you're still talking about teams that are winning a lot of games, going to significant bowl games. I don't know. I do think it is kind of a sign of.
This is the next step of Cincinnati's progression, is that once if you let them.
I don't know. I can't hear you. I just thought maybe it was my AirPods. Now you're muted.
Yeah, somehow my mic lost connection. You got me now?
Yep, I got you. But no, yeah, you're right. And like you mentioned the Penn State thing. I think it was Gregory, maybe Joshua Gregory. Like one of those guys a couple weeks ago picked up a Penn State offer, and you know, in the moment described it as like, oh, that picked up a dream offer to Penn State. I think it was Gregory, and it's like, if we're now getting into territory where guys are picking up like dream offers from other schools and then
still committing to UC,
still going to Cincinnati, like again, like that's we're talking about the kind of the level they're getting to. I do, as much as like the playoff and obviously the notoriety of the program has changed. Luke Fickell, a lot of the coaches, they didn't want to talk about this, but you and I know how many times they're probably losing guys because of the power conference thing. You know,
sure.
Other teams are saying
a lot more than people wanted to admit.
Right, yeah, than people in the program wanted to admit, right? Like they didn't want to use that as a crutch, but these kids are going to other programs and they're saying you don't want to play, no offense, ECU and Temple and things like that, you know, playing on ESPN Plus 2 or 3 times or whatever. Like that was definitely being used against Cincinnati, and this was just again kind of a little peek into because you know that they've been pushing the Big 12 stuff hard, and like for a lot of these kids, I think they wrestled over, all right, do I want to give up a power conference to go play at a school that clearly is winning more and having more success and all that kind of stuff? Well, now they don't have to make that decision.
And now they're making the quick decision. And I don't know how much and I'm sure you've heard it just as much as I have on this, but it sounded like a wild scene yesterday inside the 7th floor of the Linder Center, where guys were, you know, meeting with their position coaches, with their family, and walking out of those meetings committed to Cincinnati, and like, ping, 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 and this excitement. Like, I think the coolest thing to me is generally when these kids do this, they want their own moment. They want their own shine. And you had all of these kids talking about the brotherhood that they had experienced, talking about how at Cincinnati, it's not just receivers hanging out with receivers. And Mick and I talked about this a little bit. Like that was 4 or 5 years ago when Brady made these guys in the offseason work out with everybody. Like you had to get to know, you had to touch parts of the entire program. And now 5 years down the road, we're seeing these kids that are coming in on visits and talking about, yeah, this is, you know, when we hung out, I was hanging out with defensive linemen, and
they did in the locker room too. Remember, they mixed up lockers because Des talked about that. Like, you know, year one as a redshirt freshman, he's like across from Marquise Copeland, you know, in the locker room and things like that. And it was the same thing that, you know, it goes back to what Brady did too. You're right, though. They made a, you know, concerted effort to like make sure you're not just hanging out with your position group or your, you know, what side of the ball you're on. And I think it's the same thing with these visits, right?
Yeah, that the kids are taught. It's something that's making a lasting impression on the kids, to the point where they're saying, when I've gone to these other places, it wasn't anything like what I experienced here. And like even the camp setting, like you've been to the camp setting with me and like seen how that operates. And it's quarterbacks joking around with defensive linemen, joking around with, you know, offensive tackles, with safeties. Like, you know, there's Malik Van and Javon Hicks hanging out with Tyler Scott and Trey Tucker. And like, that's something kids notice. That's something kids feel because, this one of the things I said earlier to Mick, like, yeah, 17-year-olds are dumb because you're 17, but we don't give them enough credit for how smart they are in comparing. I've been to this place and this place and this place and this place. And when I go here, I sense something that I don't sense anywhere else.
Yeah, I mean the coaches say it a lot too when they're talking about recruiting. Like the kids can tell when you're being fake or when it's not genuine or
Right.
when it's forced or whatever. And that goes for when the coach is sitting in your living room, but it also goes for when you're on an official visit. And I think you got to give Cincinnati credit. I mean, they're certainly not the only program doing this, but they specifically these 2 weekends, like, we want to load up. We don't want to spread them out. You know, some people might think, well, if you get 4 or 5 guys instead of 11 or 12 on a weekend, maybe you can show them a little bit more attention or something like that. Like, they specifically wanted these to be big official weekend events. And I mean, we haven't had the second one yet, but like the first one worked out pretty well.
We might not even be done with how well the first one worked out. Like, we talked about the 3 guys, like they're still very much in the process of trying to land Ali and Matthews.
Yeah, 'cause they had guys come in.
Burns.
They had guys come in today, right? Or yesterday.
Yesterday, Ali came in yesterday.
Yeah.
Matthews and Burns, Jermaine Matthews and
Kamari
Burns, both came in. But they're, those are the 3 guys left that we haven't heard from, but they're still very much in play for all 3 of those guys. So, yeah.
I thought it was interesting the thing you said too about, like, the kids want their moments, and like, I don't. They deserve that, but you see a lot of, like,
sure,
next week I'm releasing my top 5, and then the whole, like, when the staffs put out the gifts and stuff like that leading up to it, like, you can kind of create a lot of hoopla. These kids, they're not even caring about that, to the point that, like you said, sometimes it was like, oh, another one coming here in 30 minutes or an hour or something like that. Like, it was almost kind of like, hey, they felt the momentum, they felt the energy, and they wanted to get on board, even if it meant that they didn't get, like, as much shine as they might if they kind of played it up or drew it out.
Yeah, I mean, it's did you see the the comment that Mick got when talking about I think it was Jenkins, his conversation with Cummings, where Cummings is like, look, I'm not here to be your new old man friend. Like, he's like, I'm gonna love you up, but you're gonna have to be tough. You're gonna have to be physical. You're gonna have to meet my demands, and if you don't, I'm gonna be on your ass every day. Like, I'm not here to be your new old man friend. That was my favorite line. I'm not here to be your new old man friend.
That sounds like Coach Cummings for sure.
Yeah, I joked with him today. I'm like, well, he's had 4 official visits, right? Tinsley, and then the 3 from this weekend, and he's 4 for 4.
Yep,
that's pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good old man friend right there.
And from talking to him, I love that man. Like, yeah. he is one of a kind. And I loved Ron Crook as well, so don't take anything. But Cummings is a different bird. Cummings doesn't play around. Like,
you and him have pretty similar styles in terms of bluntness and things like that.
Yeah,
operating on the same way.
Fair. I think that's fair. I won't deny that by any stretch of the imagination. Sometimes you got to tell people how it is. I just wanted to have you on because you've experienced a lot of this from the similar perspective as I have. Like, I'm doing this a long time. I talked to Tim Adams today, who did this for a long time.
You've been doing this a lot longer than I have, and you're a lot deeper in this than I am. And have you seen, whether it's Cincinnati or anywhere? I mean, I'm sure places have had big weekends. Other schools have had big weekends, but have you seen something like this, whether it's volume or level of talent?
So I'm sure there have been other things like this where everybody goes home, scatters, right? And then commitments are spread out over the next 2 to 3 weeks, where you just don't know that, like, everything happened all at the same time.
Right.
I've never seen anything where all of these guys were just like all in, like we're in. Like, this is happening. We're doing it. Like, everybody getting it out as fast as you can possibly get it out. Like, that was the part that was wild to me, was just how relentless it felt like over the past 36 hours of, all right, this one's coming at 4, this one's coming at 5, this one's coming at 6, this one's coming at 7:30, like here at noon and 4. Like, what the shit is happening? I can't imagine being you. You don't have a team. You just got Justin.
It's it's true. What's funny though, I was having like other athletic reporters. It's a weekend. It's not everyone's like straight on it, but it's camp season, so I think people are kind of paying attention. But I had other like beat writers and national people on Slack message me like, "What the hell is going on at Cincinnati?" Like they other people were definitely noticing. So you're right.
Just a wild scene. You say one of those weekends that we will talk about forever as like as a UC fan base. Like, people are going to be, there's going to be running jokes every time there's an official visit weekend. Like, what do you think? We get 8, 9?
Luke always talks about setting the standard, right?
Like, the standard has been set. Like, there's
the
8.
Standard.
Even if you don't land any more of them, any more of the other 3, and I think that's unlikely. If I had to pick whether that's likely or unlikely, it's unlikely that they're done with this recruiting weekend. Right.
And probably some guys who have already left, who just maybe haven't either decided or announced yet, right? Like, I don't think that's ridiculous to.
Right. No, that's fair. Like, it doesn't, this is generally how it goes. Not everybody makes a decision on whether they're committing to you before they walk out the door on Sunday.
What's up?
Hi, Aaron.
Hi, guys.
Hey, doing, buddy?
I mean, it's been a long day.
Did you get lots of diapers?
I did. I got lots of diapers.
If anybody wants to donate and donate diapers to Aaron, you can go in the chat, and there's a little $sign right underneath the chat, and you can donate diapers to Aaron.
Yeah, today
Aaron's about to have a baby. Today was his diaper party.
It was my diaper party. Chad wasn't able to make it because fish. Not to be confused with fishing, because that was a thing that I was confused about.
Well, I actually was getting up, and I was going to come, and then I got word that Oliveira was committing at noon, and that eliminated my ability to come to you. I was going to surprise you. Like, that was my intent, was to surprise you at I was going to be able to be there for like 45 minutes, but I was going to be there at noon, and I got word at like 11:15 that Oliveira was committing at noon, and that ended my ability to surprise you.
So the funny thing about that is I saw him commit like on my phone, and then I didn't touch my phone until I don't know, about 6 o'clock, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh,
that wasn't it.
I guess we had more coming. Just drank through all of it. No big deal.
Hey, sometimes you got power through.
Justin, we had our baby shower / diaper party at a brewery at March 1st Brewery. So we had a lot of fun today. I am not sober.
Did you get up?
I am not sober.
You get some of those like massive like Sam's, Costco 6,000 diapers in one box.
I got one of those. A buddy of mine thought it'd be funny to get his and hers diapers. By that I mean like me and baby diapers. So I did get some adult diapers. Although
look,
I don't know who's fitting.
You will very quickly not be too proud for that. Let me tell you.
Who's fitting in small medium? Not me. Not me.
Don't be the tough guy with medium adult diapers. Like, right? Come on.
Like, well, I'm not trying to be. I'm just saying. Like, I'm not fitting in that. This isn't a dick swing contest. Like, this is a hip swing contest, right?
All right, Justin. I appreciate you popping in. I know you got dishes to do and
bottles to wash.
There are bottles to wash, my friend. Thank you so much for taking a couple minutes and popping in. These live shows, look, we got 100 more people than we normally have watching right now. So the live shows are much more worth it, especially after a weekend like this weekend.
That's why I said #FOMO.
Right? You felt bad. You were like, crap, they're doing a huge show. I got to get in there.
Chad called me at 7:30. What do you call me at 7:30 for? It's 9:00. Chad, why aren't you answering? Oh, that's why.
Yeah. Chad decided to go live on YouTube for a couple
we
hours.
almost 2 hours ago.
All right, brother. Appreciate you. And are you coming to any camps? Are you going to be able to like break away?
Thursday, right?
Yeah, Thursday. I think at 4.
Thursdays. It's on my schedule.
Here's the funny part. I won't be there.
All right.
Until the end. I'm in for Mo.
Are you doing radio?
Yeah. I've got radio tomorrow.
Yeah, I saw Mo's he's taking some long weekends,
Yeah, like Mo's the master of manipulating his vacation days. There's nobody better. You come on with me tomorrow. I'll text you a time.
All right, so we'll make it work.
All right, sounds good.
All right, see you, brother.
See you, brother. Justin Williams from The Athletic. You can follow him at Williams_Justin. You guys know who the hell he is. I don't have to promote Justin Williams to this crowd. Shit.
So how's your night been, Chad?
It's been a hell of a 2 days.
Well, I mean, you're an hour and 45 minutes into this.
Yeah,
I can only imagine. I'm not going to try and talk about any of these kids because God knows I've not done the deep dive into any of these kids.
Right. We're gonna have Mick on tomorrow night on the BBP.
Can't wait.
And I already talked to him tonight for like an hour.
I was gonna say we'll just let Brent and him talk.
Yeah, like you and Brent are gonna talk to Mick for like an hour on the BBP tomorrow night because he's already heard my questions. Like you guys have a different angle, a different perspective.
I'll have to find that angle within the next 24 hours. No big deal.
Yeah. And you're going to be driving back and forth from Athens to Cincinnati a couple times, right?
Can't wait. Can't wait.
You need to get an audio book that reads you scouting reports on.
Hey Siri, tell me about the entire Bearcats recruiting class.
Hey Siri, tell me about Luke Evans.
Give me more.
Was it good? I'm sorry. Like I genuinely,
no
I was going to surprise you. And then I got word that there was one coming at noon. I was like, shit.
We had a lot of people show up. It was good. It was good.
I felt bad. Like
no, I mean, don't. No, it's whatever.
I know. That's how this job is.
Well, so funny thing was, I mean, I know I told you last night, like Shane and all that, like he told me to come in and replace the bottle and all that. Shane texted me about an hour after I left, and he was like, "Hey, have you already?" Well, it wasn't an hour after I left. It was much sooner than that. But by the time I got the message, it was an hour after I left. And he's like, "Hey, I hope you haven't left and you're gone too far. Come back. We have newer bottles. I want to give you those bottles. Keep the bottles you have, and I need to give you the newer bottles." So I think I'm going back tomorrow on my way out, which is 40 minutes out of the way. By the way, I don't care. Right. Like it's whatever. But I'm gonna have plenty of. I'm literally gonna do the chicken.
You're gonna be swimming in Galactic. You're gonna take a bath in Galactic sauce.
I'm gonna be doing the chicken, just brushing it on the chicken the same way people do with barbecue, and I'll let everybody know how good that is. But
yeah, this is brought to you by our good friends at Galactic Fried Chicken.
Yes, it is.
I just figured. I didn't know like what your status was if we were going to be able to do one of these. I talked to Mick. He's like, I'm going to be driving until like 11:30 at night tonight. And I was like, I don't really have shit going on. Might as well go live about 8:30 and see who pops in, and we'll talk some historic, just an absurd weekend.
You know what makes me the most mad though is I log into Bearcat Journal about I don't know 10 minutes ago, whatever, and right there you have the Bearcats sitting at number 6.
Yeah,
and right above them is motherfucking Ohio State.
Do you guys worry about stuff that doesn't matter?
I am the voice of the fan. You're welcome.
I know. I don't like. I don't know. Here's the thing. They're gonna always be there. They're always gonna be there. Right?
Until they're not. One day.
No, they're always gonna.
No. One day. Listen. Hear you me. One day. Why? Because NIL. Why? Because Ryan Day this week was talking about we need $13 million to keep this class
and
intact.
They're going to get $13 million a year.
Until they don't. One day.
Okay.
Wait. One day.
But the history of college football says they're always going to be there.
I get it. Until one day.
But here's the beauty of it. The UC was never in that conversation before.
Well, the funny thing about it all
Now they're in that conversation.
I think my favorite thing is when you see teams like Ohio State, like Alabama, like whoever else, starting to poach now the people that Luke Fickell's already offered. The same thing that what's happening on the basketball side with Wes Miller. You see Wes Miller, he actually knows what the fuck he's doing. And all of a sudden you got Mick getting involved at UCLA, or you have Alabama getting involved, or you have whoever the case may be. Like there are big schools getting involved when you see these coaches making offers to kids, and it's fascinating that these are the things that are happening here at Cincinnati.
Right. Like that's the thing. That's what I'm trying to express when I say they're always going to be there. The difference now is Cincinnati's starting to be in a position to always be there as well.
Well, the crazy thing is Cincinnati's oftentimes find themselves there first, right? Like that's got to be the craziest thing about it, is they're not the ones coming in on these kids after the fact more often than not, I feel like.
Right.
I mean, yes, you'll have some other teams that have been in like a Boston College or like, whatever is whatever, but they're getting in on a lot of these kids before the big programs are, right? And
now you're making the big programs chase you. We already have a head start, and it used to be easy to erase that head start, right? Mm-hmm. We have a head start, and all of a sudden they would come in and they would offer a Jermaine Matthews, and that instantly meant, okay, well, yeah, Cincinnati, okay, they did a great job building this relationship, but now this kid's going to Ohio State. Maybe Jermaine Matthews still goes to Ohio State, but Cincinnati is not out of that fight.
Well, and I don't remember. Obviously, there's a tribute to the staff as far as what they're doing to get to these points. But there was a kid. I don't remember which offensive lineman it was from yesterday, but there was a kid who I read Mick's article and attributed Mike Cummings for being like, I don't want to be your old man best friend.
Yeah, that's Justin and I were just talking about the best line that came out of this thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Your old man best friend. And you come here, and if you're tough and you're nasty and you're a badass, we're gonna kick some ass. And if you're not, I'm gonna kill you.
That's better than any. Like I'm trying to picture what my boy from last year's class,
Ethan Green.
Yes, Ethan Green. I can't imagine what he's going to do with Mike Cummings. If that's who Mike Cummings is going to be, this kid wants to work. God, he's ready to work yesterday.
Right.
And if that's going to be the attitude you're giving him, I can't wait to see what Mike Cummings does with Ethan Green.
So to veer off a little bit, I
Sure.
did get to I talked to a couple new guys today. And I have a new man crush
on
Quincy Burrows.
That's my dude.
Awesome. Him and Marcus Peterson were hanging out together.
Sure. They're Florida boys.
Yeah.
They played in the same league. The same
So they didn't, I don't know how much they knew each other, but they were familiar with each other.
They played each other. Sure.
Yeah. And they seem to have hit it off and we're hanging out all day. Oh, and by the way, you know who listens to almost every minute of content that we produce?
Do tell.
Your boy.
Which one?
Who's your boy?
Ethan Green?
No. Your other boy.
JQ?
Yep.
Does he?
Mm-hmm.
So he knows he's my boy.
He listens to almost every. He said, "I listen to the podcast. I listen to the nightcaps. I listen to everything. I can't get enough Bearcat content." So be careful what you say about JQ Hardaway in the chat because he's listening.
I've never said.
I said in the chat. But JQ, he's like, yeah, man. I can't get enough. I just hang out and listen to the podcast.
That's my dude. Well, and so I do. As we talk about Quincy, I do want to throw out the fact that his mom is obviously stumbled upon some very tough times right now, and she's the family is looking for any help that they can get. If you're able to help, they do have a GoFundMe for her cancer. I don't know what kind of cancer it is, and I do want to talk to Quincy Burrows soon in regards to that.
Me, and we'll get it out there to the fan base.
Well, we both put it out there. Actually, you did retweet it.
Okay.
And I did the same. But I know that they're looking for whatever help they can get in that regard.
Let's rally around that because that's a great kid.
Sure,
great kid.
Absolutely. And we'll get more details on that as far as any way that you can help with that.
You know what he asked me today?
Go on.
He's like, how do y'all know when we're about to commit? He's like, how do y'all hit me up like right after, a day after I talk to the staff and commit? How y'all hit me up like, hey man, what's up? Like,
well, because I did exactly that.
And I was like, that's my job, bro. Like, it's my job to know. That's what I'm here. That's what I do. And it's my job to find out when these things go down.
So he put out the GoFundMe tweet, and I retweeted it, and immediately he's like, thanks, brother. I really appreciate that. And I was like, Quincy, like anytime of most kids, like sometimes you get hit or miss. Quincy Burrows was one of those kids that always hit me back every single time, without question, always hit me back. Even if he had nothing to say, he'd be like, I'm sorry, it wasn't a good game, but here's my stats.
Yeah.
Appreciate you, kid. Like, and that's what I told him in the tweet back. Like, you always got my back. I got yours in this very particular moment. Sure. Yeah. This is easy for me. Like, anything that I can do to help you out, please. So anything that you can do to help him out in that regard.
So just a lot of the young guys hanging around camp the past couple of days. So it's been good to kind of like start to get to know, get a feeling for a little bit of their personality. Even some of the guys that enrolled early.
Yeah.
Like the only setting we had was spring football.
Okay.
So like they're freshmen. They're kind of getting in line basically in terms of where they stand in the program. But like I love the camp setting. Ooh, puppy!
There's a couple here.
I love the camp setting because it's unique. Like everybody's there, everybody's like working in their little groups, and then when there's downtime, guys are kind of hanging out, teammates are kind of hanging out, kicking it together.
Yep.
I love it because you get a better chance, and it long term it benefits Bearcat Journal because when we start interviewing these guys on camera, we have a relationship with them, and we have things to talk about instead of like, it's not easy when you're standing there in front of a kid you don't know.
Well, the more comfortable the kid is with you already.
Yeah. The more comfortable they are with you, the more comfortable you are with them.
Yep.
The better content we get to produce.
Mm-hmm.
All right, man, we're at 2 hours. My problem is I don't want to go because we still got a shit ton of people in here.
Okay. So what do we do?
You guys got more questions? You guys, I haven't gotten any goddamn donations for Aaron's diaper party, and I need you guys to donate to Aaron so I can send him more money because I've got a little money to send to you for the diaper party since I didn't get to show up today. I want everybody else to step up and donate some money to the diaper party.
So looking at the recent questions here. And I don't know.
I've answered most of. Yeah, I think I've answered almost.
I was going to say this is going back to 20 minutes ago. So I know when I first tried to text you, call you, you didn't have anybody in with you, so you didn't have Justin Williams in with you.
Justin was on his way. That's why I didn't get back to you right away because I was trying to get Justin in the room.
And I didn't know you already had Mick. Oh, no big deal. I'm not mad. But what about Amari Snowden? You already answered that.
He was so his high school team had a bunch of kids come down today.
Not the first time for that, right? With him? Or
they come down to camp every year. Yeah, they come down to camp every year. He came down with all those guys. He didn't work out, but he was kicking it all day. He chopped it up with sauce for a little bit.
That.
I mean, we'll see next weekend, right? Like what they're right there at the top.
Yeah.
Let's see, I told him today, I said, this is tracking when this weekend is said and done to be a top 5 type class in the country.
I think the thing that's most intriguing about Amari goes back to one particular tweet, actually. And it was
Dave, $2 for the diaper party.
Appreciate you.
Thank you, Dave.
I think it was the one tweet that he had to Luke, which was something along the lines of "Let's go win championships," and it was like him and Luke, or even, I guess if you really want to reach, even the made up tweet that was like him and Sauce at the baseball game together, even though you will never see them both on the field at the same time.
You want to hear a hilarious story from today?
Sure.
So they're talking about baseball.
Mhm.
Like everybody's standing around talking about baseball. And Arquan Bush is like, I can hit you, bro. Like, I ain't scared. I can hit you.
Who is he talking to?
Amari
Okay.
Snowden. So, like,
Yeah.
everybody's talking about Amari being a baseball guy.
Thank you, Mick.
There we go. Bearcat Mick, $10 towards the diaper party. Thank you. A million times over.
Also,
So-
Tonk donated a couple weeks ago specifically
Yeah, he
to the
did.
diaper
Yeah,
party.
specifically. You'll get that as well. So he Arquan is like I can hit you, bro. Like I ain't like I'll step in there, I'll get in the batter's box, I'll hit
Okay.
you. And they're going back and forth for like 3 or 4 minutes,
Just
like,
chirping. Yeah.
just chirping each other.
Mhm.
And then Arquan's like, man, I ain't like I'm just kidding, man. I don't know nothing about baseball. I ain't stepping in no batter's box. I ain't got nothing to do with that shit.
So,
But he saw an opportunity to have a little fun talking some shit back and forth. Of course, Arquan took it. Of
and
course.
that's where I led off the conversation the other night when we did a nightcap, right? So you saw camp today, you saw camp on Friday. Is there any of these commits that or Thursday? Were there any of these commits that were talking shit just right out of the gate?
Well, they didn't camp. None of the guys camp. None of the commits have camp. They
Okay.
just kind of hang out. Like they show up and they hang out with the guys and get kind of a like it goes back to everybody talking about the brotherhood.
Yeah.
Like the culture that is Cincinnati football. Guys just want to like show up. Like Jermaine Matthews was at camp on Thursday,
Mhm.
hanging out. His official visit started on Friday.
Mhm.
He went Friday afternoon to Sunday morning for his official visit.
Mhm.
And then he didn't go home. He was at the camp again this afternoon. Just like hanging out and soaking it up and like enjoying.
I'm not leaving.
Right. like his mom, apparently his mom went home and he was like, I'll catch you later, Mom. Like the visit was great. Had a great time. Now I'm going to go hang out at this camp, hang out with my boys.
That's fantastic.
That's a good sign, right? You have to think that's a good sign.
Why wouldn't it be? Right?
Amazing. Like just incredible the way that all this is going.
How many people are still in here?
I got 103.
I was gonna say, were you still up over 100?
Yeah, we're still over 100.
Anything you want to
If
talk
you
about?
Fire off questions. Aaron will answer your questions. They don't have to be UC related. They can be related to the diaper party today. They can be related to anything. But
Well, I was gonna say,
as long as we're still, I'll set the number. As long as we're still over 75 people in this room, we're not leaving.
is there anything that we can talk about in regards to the Kane Brown concert?
I mean, yeah, we can hit on it for sure. Like that's part of,
Why not?
right?
Right? We got 100 people here. Why not? Right?
We signed a sponsorship deal, the Kane Brown concert. If you're a country music fan, and I know he's done.
I'm not, but I'm here for it.
Yeah, I don't really listen to country music. I know he's done some crossover stuff, and like he's played on Q102 and all of that. So I know there's a large number of Kane Brown fans out there. Tickets to the general public go on sale tomorrow.
Okay.
So it's KaneBrownCharityConcert.com.
Okay. What's the charity?
Here's what's important to stress to UC fans and for all you guys that are still in this room. It's the first concert at the renovated Fifth Third Arena, right?
Right.
So if this is something that like catches on, you could find a lot more of these things happening at the renovated Fifth Third Arena. We all know it's a gorgeous venue. I don't know what it will look like for a concert.
Right.
But I can't imagine there's going to be a bad seat in the house, right? There's not a bad seat in the house for a basketball game.
Are we allowed to talk about what the charity is, or are we still off that?
Let's just say you'll be doing everybody a solid if you buy tickets to this concert.
There it is.
Let's just say Luke Fickell and Wes Miller will be very appreciative of,
You going to the concert, enjoying the hell out of
concert. If you go to the concert,
go enjoy the hell out of Kane Brown on behalf of Luke Fickell
and Wes Miller. Like it's going to be a very good thing if you make your way to this concert.
They'll appreciate it.
If you like his music, or if you're a supporter of UC basketball and UC football, go to the concert.
Matthew, I don't know what you're talking about. Colin asks, what's up with Cam Calhoun? OV to Rutgers next week, but I have a feeling he's not going. Laugh, cry, laugh, cry.
Stay tuned.
What a weekend. What a weekend. I can't say this about Cam Calhoun. I spoke to one of my very, very good friends from high school, and his mom, Cam Calhoun's mom, went to my high school.
Okay.
And she was over the moon today. Why? Because she got to talk one-on-one with Coach Fickell. Put into that what you will.
But to go back to the original point, Matthew. Willie Nelson was in Wichita. There's nothing I'd love more to hang out with Willie Nelson for a night.
Well, people have been talking about West Virginia joining the ACC for about 3 years now. People have been talking about Notre Dame joining the ACC for about 3 years now.
Right.
Until they join the ACC. Okay.
The ACC has no interest in West. Here's the thing: if the ACC wanted West Virginia would be in the ACC.
Their grades aren't good enough to be in the ACC.
Right. They have not academically qualified for the ACC.
Shocker. Who's surprised? You know what I mean? Like,
right.
It's not just the sports people who have to join the ACC. It's the entire university, right? So it's everyone.
Right.
That's the problem.
Did I really promise to keep doing this live until we're at 75 members? Because I don't think anybody's going to leave. I think everybody's just...
I'm not leaving!
I think everybody's just... After the weekend that has happened...
Yeah, well, I mean, Chad, I've literally been drinking all day.
And you were like, I need to come on.
I mean, I saw you by yourself, in all fairness. And I'm like...
okay, that's fine.
I'm gonna go help out my buddy here. But
well, Louisville has qualified, but they cheated on their test.
That was before Lamar Jackson.
No, they cheated on their test. Like they lied about everything that got them into the ACC.
Oops.
Unfortunately, in conference realignment, you can cheat, and as long as you get in, as long as they don't catch you cheating until after the fact, you're good.
Well, and going back to Memphis, what do Memphis and Boise bring to the Big 12 that they don't already have, right?
Memphis brings FedEx. Like that's always going to be their ace in the hole. But other than that, they don't move the needle for me. And I know that's people use that against Cincinnati, and I know it made Cincinnati fans furious for a long time. So I kind of hate to use it, but
sure,
especially Boise,
Blue Field,
out in the middle of nowhere,
right?
Like they're not a big market.
Fly all the way to Idaho. That it doesn't make sense to go all the way to the West Coast for that.
At least with Memphis, there is significant basketball history at Memphis.
Of late, you've also had some football history.
Yeah, they've gotten a lot. They've invested in it. They've taken it more serious. And they're renovating the Liberty Bowl, which was a dump. But here's what I'll say to that. Guess what? That's how a lot of people saw Nippert. I was actually, I got a ton of stories from camp today that I just
apparently.
Guess who I spent a lot of time talking to today?
Kids?
No, there's another guy. There's somebody from the past I spent a lot of time talking to. And he just happened to be a cornerback for Cincinnati in the Orange Bowl.
Oh.
D'Angelo Smith, who is now the cornerbacks coach at Ohio University. He was at campus today for camp, working camp. And we were talking about like coming back now and seeing UC in a light that didn't exist. You know, when he was there, and he said, man, every time I walk in the stadium, I just stand here and look at the press box. And like how glorious it makes it. Right. How glorious compared to what was there, just that little
bitty
little rectangle that was, you know, you walked up the steps to get to. I don't even know if there was even a fucking elevator up to that thing.
It was a glorified high school box, right?
Right. And he said, I stand here and look, and I look up and I go, like, we built we did this. Like, this was on the back of us. Right. Like, and that's very real for that kid, for that grown ass man now. But like, but that's very real for him. Like, you know, me and Mick, we were Kobe and Sauce before Kobe and Sauce were Kobe and Sauce.
Well, I mean, and Mickens will tell you the same thing, right?
Sure, absolutely.
I mean, that's why he was so mad
that he couldn't get in the fucking Ring of Honor when he was here. That's all he wanted when he was here as an assistant coach.
I guarantee you, if you ask him right now, that's all he still wants.
Yeah, but he was here. Like, all they had to do to honor him was have him just not run into the locker room at halftime.
Give me the recognition that I did here.
Yeah,
you want an All-American,
first team All-American,
right? Like you've set the bar at All-American. You've set the bar.
I did that shit. I graduated. I was a fucking model citizen. I've gotten into coaching. I'm changing the lives of kids. Your kids.
Find the space for put my name on.
Hey,
put some respect on my name.
Guess what? I put him in just for being the lead on Sauce Gardner. Put his name in the fucking ring.
Before that, though, it doesn't matter, Chad. It doesn't matter.
I'm saying all the other stuff he belongs in the Ring of Honor for, and then on top of that, I would put him in just for finding Sauce Gardner. That was him.
They how do we find out when they're going to rectify this situation? Because
I won't stop screaming about it.
They're well behind. They're well behind the bar as far as that goes.
Yeah, but D'Lo was great. Like, we just chatted about like what's it like coming back here now and seeing all this shit that has changed. And
did you book him for one of the podcasts?
No, but I did book Sauce.
What?
That also happened today.
All right, so on BCJ or on BBP?
It's going to depend on when he's like
available.
What day?
It's going to be me and you at 4 o'clock on a Tuesday.
I don't give a shit. Whatever. I was like, look, man. Like, I don't need to have you long.
Well, everyone just freaked out in the chat. That's fantastic.
This is why you stick around for 2 hours of business. I told you there was so much happened. Like, I can't even express how much happened on campus today at that camp. And you know how many? I watched like 8 snaps of camp.
Meanwhile,
I didn't watch anything of camp.
Meanwhile, I'm just celebrating the fact that I'm having a baby.
Yeah. So yeah,
wanting to be downtown, which is ridiculous, but also loving the fact that I'm around my best friends and all that shit. But like, that's awesome.
Yeah. So I exchanged numbers with Sauce, and at some point in time over the summer, Sauce is going to come on with us.
Can't wait.
I don't know when. Now, here's my question: do we build another? Like,
oh no. I don't even
thing around Sauce.
I think we built something around Sauce. Call it Sauceathon.
Yeah. Sauceathon. I love it.
Why wouldn't we? Why, you know what I mean? Like, fuck it. Like, why wouldn't we? Why wouldn't we?
Right? Sauceathon. I'll hit him up and see if he's like. So we'd have to have him first, right? Like he would.
No. We have him whenever he wants to be on. In said sauceathon, right? What a weird comment just now in the chat from Cereal Lover.
I don't disagree.
No, but it's just who are you? What are we doing here?
I mean, it's a live YouTube that's been
I
rocking strong for 2.5 hours now. People are just random. The algorithm has brought Cereal Lover to us. Cereal Lover, what's your favorite cereal? And why is it Cinnamon Toast Crunch?
It's not. There's no way that's too generic. What do I have the answer to, Paul?
Oh, okay. Now there's a part 2.
Oh, absolutely. Milk is the sauce to cereal. Why wouldn't it be?
Yeah, I think I agree. I think it doesn't make any sense, but I think I agree. I think in cereal, milk is the sauce.
I mean, I guess that's the same thing as is a hot dog a sandwich?
Raisin Bran, Diamond in the Rough. If I'm going healthy, I'm going Honey Bunches of Oats.
Raisin Bran is one of those cereals though that you don't have to add like sugar to, right? Like cornflakes, you have to add sugar, or bananas or some kind of fruit or something to make it tolerable.
Yeah. Raisin Bran, the raisin is the sweet. But in if you do Honey Bunches of Oats, you get the honey. The honey is kind of the sweet, right?
Matthew, I'm with you. I also need more alcohol. It's the sad thing is it's right out that door, and then I
go get it.
Well, I'm gonna go get a couple beers, but I did want to finish whatever we're talking about here.
We're gaining viewers. We're up to 113. We are not losing viewers. We are gaining viewers.
So are we gonna? Is this turning into a thon? Who knows?
The commitment-a-thon. Somebody said they're just waiting for the next. They're here waiting for the next.
Listen. If you're still here, please do us a favor for shits and giggles. Really, go share this link right now on whatever social media it is that you're most prominent on. Whether it's on Facebook, whether it's on Twitter, wherever. Go share it. Instagram. Who cares? Share it for fun, and we'll see where we end up. Because Chad's already said we're not leaving until we have less than 75. So until we have less than 75, you're not leaving.
Get some cereal, Aaron, not alcohol. Sober is doper. You might have to.
You should work on that. You should work on that catchphrase. I'm gonna go work on some drinks. I will be right back, Chad. It'll take me less than 2 minutes.
Okay. This is the beauty of the YouTube channel. Is it's become this random thing. There's a method to the madness for the most part, but every now and again we just decide we're going to go live. And every time we've gone live, it has been completely off the rails, completely unexpected, no idea what's going to happen, and it's been an absolute blast. And this weekend, I don't know how you aren't excited. I'll wait for Aaron to come back on that. I maybe when it gets to that where Aaron got where it was runny, it hadn't broken, but it was a lot more runny than it was when we initially got it. Maybe that would go on cereal, but you have to find a special kind of cereal to be to have the sauce be Chipotle honey mustard. I don't know if there's many cereals designed to go with Chipotle honey mustard. This is as live as Raisin Bran. We've typically kept these to YouTube, just to kind of build the YouTube following. Subscribe, make sure you're subscribed. If you've been here this long, holy shit, how are you not subscribed? But we've been trying to build the YouTube. We are working on the Twitch, and you were definitely a big part of the conversation during last week's shows, Lambig. So yeah, we're going to continue going live on Twitch. I just like kind of the exclusivity sometimes when we do these live things, these unexpected, unplanned, unannounced live things, that we keep it to the YouTube community. So Cereal Lover, you think Raisin Bran would go live with Galactic sauce?
No.
Aaron says no. Yeah.
No.
Brian asked, does Galactic sauce work on cereal?
No.
I said that'd have to be a hell of a cereal to mix with Chipotle honey mustard.
Or you'd have to be not of the right frame of mind.
Ali seems like the priority target, but is Minich an automatic take? I worry Minich might have missed his opportunity. The numbers at DB are staggering.
I was going to say, how's Amari not the priority target at this point?
I mean, Amari's a priority. You're still trying to get Jermaine Matthews.
Yep.
Cam Calhoun is still very much a factor.
There's a lot of things going on right now.
Khalil Ali is still on his visit tonight because his visit didn't start until he was competing in the New Jersey State Track and Field Championship.
How many kids started tonight?
None started tonight.
You just
Ali started yesterday.
That's okay. So who started?
So he's still here tonight.
Is he the only?
I think
one?
they were at the precinct tonight for dinner.
Is he the only one that was tonight?
Yeah, he's the only one.
Okay.
And then his official visit will end tomorrow. So he's the only one. Minich, I worry that door is closed. Like I worry that window was open for a very short period of time and he didn't jump.
So I know you know who my connects on staff are, but I did text them last night to congratulate them and what have you. And I was like, you crazy bastards. They were so excited.
Dude, everybody was delirious today. Like,
I can only imagine. Like, again, this goes back to like, I'm enjoying my personal life at a party today while drinking and being around my very best friends. And I'm still not all the way happy because I'm not on campus being around these other
right.
people in this other part of my life.
Oh, come on, cereal lover. Come on, you got to do better than that.
Is this tweet user with just a different name? Like, did they
Right?
finally change their name from tweet user?
Are you trolling us?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely, without question. We're under 100, so we're
Okay.
on our way back down to 75.
We're trending down.
Yeah. Trying to think of anything else. If there was anything else significant today.
Well, was Sauce the only? Well, Sauce and D'Lo. Who else was in that you haven't mentioned already?
Oh, damn it! Hold on.
Oh, what's his name? This makes for great radio, though. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, it does. I mean, you know, it is what it is. Sometimes
It's all right. I'm trying to filibuster in the meantime, just busting your balls.
Oh. DJ Dowdy was there, Purcell Marion head coach. So I talked to DJ for a little bit, who I love, great personality, a hilarious dude. And then TJ Nelson, 2024 quarterback prospect, was there. Any guess as to who TJ Nelson's dad is?
Terry.
Yeah, good call. Brady Lichtenberg's little brother was there.
Oh,
Camping.
did you see the tweet that came out?
What a fucking day at camp, and I'm trying to even rack through my brain through half of it.
My phone's charging right now, so I don't even have my phone on me. One of the kids that committed yesterday does he have a twin brother, also of the 23 class, who said something along the lines of, "I'm next."
Oh, the
DB, right? Was
Jonas?
it the DB?
Yeah.
DB wide receiver?
I don't think UC is recruiting his brother. I don't think they're heavily involved with his brother.
Doesn't mean he wouldn't be a walk-on.
He's like rated higher than his brother.
Then why is he saying I'm next?
Declana?
Yes, it was Declana.
No, his brother's like a highly recruited kid. He's just hyping himself up after his brother's commitment, I think.
Okay. He said it was a 3-star, I think.
Yeah, he's actually in the composite a higher rated kid than
6'1" DB wide receiver 3-star.
UC has not been heavily involved.
Actively recruiting him.
Yeah.
Any particular reason, or
they like, I don't think there's any. They just see one as the type of guy they're looking for, and maybe the other one's not.
Just curious as to you got one.
Look, man.
I don't know.
We're not taking 11 DBs. We're only taking 10. 10 DBs. Vaughn.
Well, he's also a receiver.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 defensive backs.
He's also a receiver. So
yeah, well, you just got a kid that is like this close to a 4-star. Anthony Brown is coming next weekend, who's okay. And then
wait, he's coming to Cincinnati on
an official visit.
On an official visit. He's not committing next weekend. Because he's a Minnesota commit.
It is what it is.
Do it that way you will.
It is what it is.
He's only been on campus about 17 times.
Yeah. and then Malik Elsie is coming in the following weekend.
Oh my God! What?
Look, here's what I said earlier in the show.
Chad, no. I want you to go back to when you hired me, right?
Uh-huh.
And it was in the middle of the pandemic, right?
Uh-huh.
In my first year on campus, right? I'm in the press box. My very first season, I'm in the press box. We take the AAC championship and we go to the playoff in my very first season. And this is my very first off season. After that season.
Are we back to this being all like on you? Like
no, but
everything is once I hired you, everything started going like the universe corrected itself.
It's not on me, right? Also, we want to thank UCF.
Of course. I'm getting text messages from people that shouldn't be watching this stream that I believe are watching this stream. So hi.
I like JQ.
Probably.
Who knows?
He said today he actually quoted something we were talking about on one of the podcasts. He was like, "Oh, remember the other night when y'all were talking about this?" And I was like,
"What was he talking about?"
I can't even remember. It was mine. It was like something small.
Something that you and I were talking about, or
no, just in general. Like, remember you guys talked about that on the podcast the other day, and I was like,
I can't wait to get him on.
Yeah,
he's so because of the relationship I have with his family. Like, I should have written that article 17 months ago or whatever it was when I interviewed the whole family and all that. But that's my dude. Like,
yeah.
He was texting me before we went to Notre Dame, like, you think we got a chance? And I'm like, no, we have more than a chance. Are you kidding me?
Right.
And he's like, well, nobody's being real with me about this. So do you think Cincinnati actually has a chance? Yeah, JQ, we have a chance.
Very real.
Sure enough.
Very real.
But he was like, nobody has talked to me as real as you do. And I'm like, I got you, man. Like,
the chance was real and it was spectacular.
But that's I can't say enough good words about JQ. Like, again, there's a handful of kids when you're dealing with a recruiting class of 17 to 25, you're dealing with a lot of different personalities. And he was one of those kids that was always just very quick on the return and quick on the wit, honestly, and the questions. Like, he wasn't one to just be like, why are you talking to me? This is all part of the process. I don't want to talk to you. Because you get some of that.
Yeah.
But he was always just like, what's up? What do you got for me? And all that. So,
Colin, we were just messing around, man. Like, we're at a point, we're 2.5 hours into a live stream.
I joined 45 minutes ago.
That I thought was going to go like 45 minutes. Like, we've had multiple guests. We've been telling stories all night. Apparently, I had an incredible day at camp that I didn't even realize I had. And there's like 8 stories from camp I haven't told yet that I can't tell until a later date.
Or at least until we're off the live stream, and you can tell me later.
Matthew, at least through midnight. Come on, man. Do I really have to do this through midnight?
I mean, that's
I
on
will.
you. That's on
I
you.
will.
75, right? That 75.
This weekend will live on forever. Absolutely. Here's the thing. We'll never stop talking about this weekend. I joked about it with Justin, Aaron. Like, every official visit weekend from now until eternity, the fan base is going to be like, how many are we going to get? 8,
Right. They're going to
9,
compare
10.
that to this. But I think you can say the same for the draft class, right? Like,
so Kerry had an awesome fucking point today. Awesome. He was like, yesterday, and I think he was just talking about yesterday. He didn't even touch on today. He said this was like watching the draft.
Sure.
Because it was your college team watching the draft. Like every hour, your team made a pick. Like every 90 minutes, your team made a pick. Cincinnati made 5 picks on Saturday and 3 picks on Sunday in the Bearcats draft. Like, that's not how it's supposed to work. It probably will never work like this again. But it was the one weekend where everybody was sitting at home watching UC drafting really good players.
But I mean, you say that this weekend is going to be compared to every recruitment weekend from here to forward, which makes as well it should, right?
Forever.
You did listen to plenty of Outcasts this weekend.
I did.
But the draft will also be compared to every draft class after
ever. Yeah, sure.
This team even is going to be compared to every team ever. Like, we used to do the same thing with 2009, right?
Sorry, what was that again?
This team used to be compared. Cincinnati used to compare.
2009. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Every team has been compared to 2009 since.
That's
correct. So 2009 is finally in the rear view, and 2021 is now the team to compare it to.
Yeah.
But until you have another draft class, until you have another recruiting weekend like this,
right?
Who knows if you will? But isn't that what we're supposed to be doing, right? Like,
sure,
we're supposed to be.
You're raising the bar
correct,
at every step. Yeah,
and the same thing with every recruiting class. Last year, we didn't think we'd ever see a higher rated recruiting class before we joined the Big 12, right?
Right.
And now here we are,
and destroying that recruiting class,
killing it,
destroying, like not even close.
So it's wild.
Think about this. Think about, like, everybody was like, well, just wait until it's going to start evening itself out, right? Where the number will start dropping back closer to 85.
Well, you get back to your baseball card, right?
Well, no.
That's
Cincinnati's Aaron.
That's what people expected.
Cincinnati's entering their prime when it comes to the back of their baseball card.
I don't think that's accurate, actually.
You don't?
I think they're still trending up. We haven't even hit the big.
I didn't say they're in their prime. I said they're entering their prime. So when it comes to the back of their baseball card.
This is what, like, LeBron before the Miami years.
Whatever you want to compare it to.
The end of LeBron's first stint in Cleveland.
Joey Votto right before he won MVP.
Oh, he got gypped on one.
He did, but he wasn't in his prime yet. He was. Did Kerry Combs have a day today? Kerry Combs had a fucking day today.
He had a whole weekend. He had a whole weekend. What do you mean? Did he have a day today?
Okay. What all happened on the official visits this weekend? The Fickell Barn, Top Golf.
The Fickell Barn is paying off in dividends. We talked about it last night on the nightcap.
So Friday night, they were at the Fickell Barn. And then Saturday, Top Golf. Mick talked to DeClona at Top Golf while they were at Top Golf. Mick got his interview quotes while they were at Top Golf. We talked about with Mick at the beginning of the show, 2.5 hours ago.
What are you
dinner, all the things that happened. A lot of it hanging out with the guys. And guess who was hanging out with the guys last night?
Sauce.
Right? That's who was hanging out with the guys last night.
Was Luke calling him Sauce though, or Ahmad?
Probably Ahmad. He's not.
I can't imagine him in just regular conversation calling him Sauce.
No, that's not Luke Fickell. He's not calling anybody Sauce.
He gave him it once, and that's got to be it, right?
Mm-hmm. But imagine you're a defensive back recruit, right? And you're on campus for your official visit, and you're just sitting around kicking it, talking ball with Sauce that just went number 4 in the draft.
Isn't that what everybody wanted with Travis?
Yeah.
For the last 5 years?
Sure.
7 years?
But Travis is like,
he's busy.
He's in his like fucking 30s now. Like,
well, he's doing VH1 shows and whatever else he's got going on. He's golfing on TV and all that shit. Like, I mean, he's got shit going on. Sauce just got drafted. He doesn't have shit going on yet. He's still collecting his who's paying him to do.
Apparently he already bought a house in Jersey.
Oh,
and
interesting.
It is legit.
Interesting. He's in Jersey and not in New York.
Because they play in Jersey.
Well, I know that the stadium. I know the same.
Jersey.
Sure, I know the stadium's in Jersey, but I feel like most people who get drafted by the Jets immediately move to New York.
No, Sauce. That's not Sauce. Is not New
I'm
York,
aware.
man.
I know.
Sauce.
We've talked about this ad nauseum almost. Like,
yeah,
he's the guy that's going to survive New York because he is anti-New York.
He bought a house. He says he's like 10, 15 minutes from the practice facility. He can get there whenever he wants. Get him back down here next weekend. What we've learned about Sauce at this point in time is if he can be in Cincinnati, he's going to be in Cincinnati, which is wild. Like, wild.
Did he park wherever he wanted? Did he park just at the stadium?
I have no clue where he parked today. I'm guessing it was very close. You
know what I'm talking? You know what I'm talking about? Like under the upper deck on the side opposite the.
Yeah, I didn't see his car on the field, but I imagine he parked pretty close.
That's coming, right? For like somebody's pictures, for somebody's official visit pictures, they're just
going to be in
Sauce and Sauce's car on the field.
Absolutely,
because that's where he parked.
Absolutely.
He parked on the 50-yard line, and we're all taking pictures with Sauce and his car.
Paul, come on. We're not being serious. We're having fun, Paul. We don't have to actually taxes. Like, come on.
I mean, it also depends on what you're able to do in New York. Like, if you're able to get to more people who are paying you to do things in New York by walking there instead of trying to go over the bridge or through the tunnel to get back to New York in the hour and a half it takes to do so.
Right.
Just it. Steven said, actually.
Well, actually. Come on. Well, it's not actually a very fun Galactic fried chicken live nightcap.
I like Paul.
I love Paul. Paul knows I love him. I'm just saying.
He's got a library behind him when he comes on the live chat. I like Paul.
The former guys love coming back. Yeah, like this is something that is building and gaining steam. Or a lot of these guys are just infatuated, and it's going to change as they get older.
Chad, it's culture though. This goes back to the culture, the brotherhood. Like, you want to talk about the things that these kids were raving about when they're committing. Eight commits in a weekend is silly.
Yes. Yeah.
And they're all talking about the same thing. Because we talked about this the other day off air, that each kid wants their own shine. Each kid wants to have their own day to have, I was the kid who committed this day. I was the kid who committed this day. I was the kid who committed this day. I want to wait until Father's Day, till my mom's birthday, until my birthday, whatever the case may be. These kids all want to do it the same weekend because of the brotherhood. The fact that these kids are also coming back, Jerome Ford, Michael Young, Sauce, they're coming back because of the brotherhood.
Dez, Kobe.
it's the culture that they instilled from day one, back when they were doing the push-ups in the snow and ice and all that shit.
Yeah. None of those guys are around anymore, but they went through that. Like Joel DeBlanco was one of those guys. Marcus Brown, your boy, Curtis Brooks, one of those guys. Like,
it's the brotherhood that they instilled way back then, and it's just carried over. It's fantastic.
It's been amazing. Like, it's really been amazing to like see. We talked. Mick and I talked about this a lot, and Justin and I talked about this a lot.
Cope.
I hate you, Cope. Cope was there for sure.
Yeah. Good call, Cope.
Dez was not. Dez was still a recruit. Dez was not on campus yet. When
I've been caught up in that too, Paul. I've been caught up in that too.
Yeah, those guys arrived after. Remember, attention training was immediately after Luke got the job. And it was the first thing that all the guys that were still remaining from the Tuberville era did.
It was about 50 guys ish?
Yeah, it was January of Luke got the job December 10th, 2016. Attention training was right when everybody reported for class in January. So those like Dez, Kobe, Mike Warren, Defoe, those guys weren't. I think he enrolled early, but I don't think he was part of attention training. Like that was literally the guys that were left over from the previous regime that were put through that. It was an exclusive group of guys that they were basically, let's be honest, they were trying to figure out who needed to go.
Sure.
That was what attention training was all about.
Well, they pushed them to their limits.
Right.
In every way possible.
You're either in or you're going to get the hell out.
I mean,
and they got their answers. You weren't going to do that to a freshman. Like you weren't doing that to a kid that had been on campus for like 36 hours.
It's kind of, I mean, I hate to make this correlation because it's gross at this point, but when I went through fraternity hazing, you go through, I mean, I graduated in 2007, but you go through a certain cycle of things to make sure that you belong in the group, right? And not that it's the same, because it's certainly not. But they wanted to push you to your limits and find out who you were as a man and what you were made of, and to a much larger extent in football, it was certainly different. Chad, I can't drop the Colin Bernard comment here from Jerome Ford and all that. I don't know if you're going outside, but
I had to tinkle. I got to tinkle.
Did Odie lose his father? Jason Cooper's asking. Yes, Odie did.
I'm not getting into that.
All right.
I'm not getting into that. Out of respect for Odie, I'm not.
Okay.
That's not something we're gonna touch on.
Okay. I hope we see a Jaden Thompson breakout this season from Henry Ellison. We all want to see a Jaden Thompson breakout.
I also spent a lot of time, like 10 minutes, talking to Jaden Thompson today.
Okay. What'd you get from Jaden?
Up to up around 190, 185, 190.
Oh, he's put on some weight.
He's put on some weight. He's ready to break out. I think I think him getting a look at Quincy Burrows and Marcus Peterson, Jaden Thompson's like, all right, we got to take this thing, and obviously Nick Martin coming in and Blue Smith trying to make a push.
Well, what's Blue got left, right? I mean, of course Blue's making a push.
Yes. Anyhow, yeah, Matthew, pissing live at 11:15. I've been live since 8:30. At some point in time, I've been live and drinking beers. I'm gonna have to take a piss.
I would have tried to filibuster if you did want to ever get up and just mute.
Okay. Well, that's not how I operate.
I know.
I just work through it. I think Jaden. I think if I had to, in Chad's perfect world, Jaden Thompson is the boundary receiver, Tyler Scott field, and then obviously Trey Tucker in the slot. And then you have Nick Mardner, you have Chris Scott, like you have Blue, you have Will Pauling, you have this group of guys behind those top three where you can just bring a relentless passing attack against other teams. And Josh Wiley and Lenny Taylor and Shamama Taylor, the options are absurd.
I've been thinking about this because everybody knows that I'm the biggest Blue Smith stan, and I don't even know if he knows that I'm the biggest Blue Smith stan, and I don't care. Either way, I think my ideal season for Blue this season would be 3 to 5. 3 to 500 yards. I think that would be outstanding for him.
Yeah, where he had a couple games, like where he made an impact, like 4 catches, 73 yards, something,
Well, I think it would be just the simple fact that he had an impact on the season. He had an impact on this team.
Yeah. Where his hard work finally paid off. He wasn't injured anymore. I think
it'd be a great story for a guy who has struggled to find his way into the fold, if you will.
Right. No, I'd agree with that.
Any basketball nuggets, recruiting or otherwise, from Evan Johnson?
Evan, we had a lot of basketball talk on the BBP or on the BCJ pod.
I was gonna say I think there will be some more coming this week as well as as there's some little birdies that are planning on being at practice. Or
I probably won't.
Open gym. I'm sorry, open gym.
Open gym. I probably won't be able to make it tomorrow. I'm in for. I've got radio to do tomorrow.
Again? You're in on
3 to 6 for Mo tomorrow. I think I'm just gonna talk UC recruiting for most of the show.
Oh, Chad. I got my bottle.
Your bottle.
The 100th episode bottle from Clay.
Nice.
It's a Knob Creek 100th episode personalized bottle. Never be getting cracked.
This is amazing content. I agree. The basketball we'll get to
later
this
week.
There, it's building.
Well, we also have to cover the 5s this week if the commitments would ever settle down.
We can chill for a second. Shit. Desan McCullough transfer. I'm not gonna. I don't know. I'm not gonna speak on that at this point. I would guess he would go with his dad if he had that option. I don't know. His dad's at Notre Dame. We'll see. We're deep in the heart of birdie season, Matthew.
Later this week, for sure.
Yeah.
Is Matthew Fleener? Is that the same one and the same? I don't know.
I don't know. Ask him. He's right here.
I did.
Little concerned about our safety situation. Who's going to be number 2 safety and the depth behind it? Henry, that's what you have a membership to Bearcat Journal for. That's what you watch the nightcaps where we cover the safety position for. But I'll give you the cliff notes here. I think it's going to be interesting to see who emerges victorious at that spot between Jacob Dingle and Byron Threats. I think there's also a chance where you see Amorion Smith.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a chance Isaiah Cox
makes a play. You know who I'm excited about as far as freshmen go?
Who?
Oliver Bridges. The deepest voice you've ever heard from a recruit.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to run into him. I was looking forward to getting a chance to run into him.
Well, I chopped it up with his dad.
I
chopped it up with his dad at the spring game. He's like, hey, we're talking and all that. And he's like, hey, I just want you to know, I know I was a track star and I know I played in the NFL, but my son's the one that you need to be focused on. And it wasn't because I wasn't focused on Oliver, because I had talked to him already for like 10 minutes. It was just the fact that oh, you're here as well. I'll get to talk to Oliver. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
But it was a cool interaction between the two of them.
How are we still at 91 people?
I don't know, but we're still going. Luke Collinsworth doesn't want to play basketball.
Football.
You mean football?
Yeah, he corrected himself. Football. Just didn't have his heart in it. Like that's look, man. I don't think people understand how much of a time commitment this all is.
Well,
like,
I mean, on top of that, like if you're not cracking into the twos as a what he's what a junior?
He was going into his redshirt freshman. Like he was fairly young. Like,
okay.
But he just didn't
love it.
Didn't love it. And if you
not
don't love it, man,
not transferring, not going anywhere.
It is what, like, sometimes you have to look in the mirror and make that, like, so I'll give a great example, a personal example. Back in my late teens, early 20s, I kind of got away from this path. After I had started this path, I kind of veered away because I had found a path that I was making a shit ton of money in sales. And yeah, I went from sales to management. And I went from making a lot of money for working a reasonable number of hours to working an unreasonable number of hours and making a shit ton less money.
Chad, let's put it both. Well, I'm okay putting this out there. We've both been in management. We've both been making six figures.
Yeah.
Doing things that isn't this.
Right.
Both of us.
And one day I was in the shower and I woke up late and the store wasn't open when it was supposed to be open. I was in the shower. I was like headed there. And the regional manager called me in the shower. And there was a phone, like back in those days when we had cords on our phones, there was a phone in our bathroom. And I got out of the bathroom and I saw the fucking caller ID and I was like, fuck. So I answered the phone and he's like, hey, you all right? I'm like, yeah, I'm in the shower. He's like, you coming in? And in that moment, I was like, no. And he's like, what do you mean no? I was like, I'm good, man. Like I've done this. I've been really good at it. I was in the top 2% of salespeople in the company, but I was miserable. Like every day I woke up and I was miserable getting out of bed and going to that job.
Chad, I worked at a bank where I was held up at gunpoint.
I didn't do that. I didn't do that. And it was nothing. I was having massive amounts of success. I was an award-winning employee in this company, a massive, major company.
I worked many years for that same bank. Not many years, but several years after that, and I even went into sales after that. Like we've both been in some shit jobs, making great money.
Yeah, it wasn't even a shit job. I just didn't.
It's just not this, right? Like by comparison,
this is what I wanted to do.
When I say shit job, when I'm sales,
I know what you're saying. Yeah. No, I had fun. Like I hired my employees. I had a great staff. Like I was having fun, but I
love being a manager. Love bringing people in, but it's not this.
It wasn't this. This is what I wanted to do, and I was like that. In that instant, I made the decision. In that instant, he's like, "You coming in?" Nah, man, I think I'm good. He's like, what do you mean you think you're good? And I was like, I quit. And he's like, you can't quit.
Today?
And I was like, I just did. Like I just now made that decision. And I went back and got it back into broadcasting. And like, that's how this led to here, was that one seminal moment in the shower. And I think I was like, I lived 5 minutes from the place. So if he didn't call, right? If he didn't call, I would have got out of the shower, put my clothes on. I'd have been there 10 minutes late. It wouldn't have been a big deal. The store would have opened. Everything would have been fine. And I just was like, nah, man. I got bigger things to do. Like I got other shit to accomplish, and this ain't it.
Chad, you know what I did tonight before I hopped on with you? You know who I called? After I called you and texted you.
Wife?
No. I called Taylor.
Yeah, she was awesome.
And commended Taylor on the bang up job she did this weekend.
She did great. Mick did great.
Like I said,
stepped up today.
Loved being a manager when I was a manager. Loved bringing in talent and finding talent and being the guy that can bring in those kind of things. Like that's who I love being.
You know, so I'm the same way.
I know that. Like we've talked ad nauseum about this. Like, so it's super cool that we're both getting to do that kind of thing, and figuring this all out as 100 people apparently are taking this trip with us all night.
All night. They're not leaving it. We're not leaving.
What are we at?
So Matthew, you have no idea. I've been offered 20 other jobs to leave Bearcat Journal. And I couldn't. Like it was like I tried. Like I tried to get my brain to the point where I could turn this over to somebody. I spent too much time building it, like from nothing. And I genuinely think we do something that not only is nobody else willing to do, but nobody else has the ability to do what we do.
Not with the personalities that we have, no.
Justin's amazing. Like Justin is the best writer I've ever encountered in my life. And what he does for The Athletic is unreal. But it's not what we do. Like we do a different thing. And we built a community that
but we also get
take a ton of pride in.
We also get to tap into Justin.
Yeah. Justin's become one of my best friends. Like
sure.
That's no secret. Like, but like
I had him first.
Do something, yeah, we did. We do something different.
I mean, PTP had Justin first, just saying.
No, you didn't.
He was on a podcast before he was on with you.
I was there the first day he worked the UCB.
I'm saying he was on.
I gave him shit.
He was on a podcast. He was on a podcast. He was on a podcast with PTP before he was on with you.
I don't think that's accurate, but whatever.
Ask him. Ask him.
Luke is not related to Chris Collinsworth. Sorry. Tim? What about I talked to Tim today. I love Tim. Tim Adams is the fucking man. Like he's the you know, he was the part of this.
The Godfather.
Yeah.
All of this.
He started doing this before anybody did.
Gave you a deal you couldn't refuse.
Right? He said I'm good. I'm out. Tim now spends his fucking winters in on the beach in South Carolina. Like
Kakalaki.
South Cackalack. I know you guys love us. Like we appreciate it more than anything. That's why we do it.
You're almost at 3 hours. What's numbers looking like?
85.
I can't see.
We're still at 85.
I'm not in my normal producer chair here. I'm not.
We're still
obviously this is my mom's office. I'm in Cincinnati. I'm in Cincinnati.
We desperately need 10 more people to go to bed. Desperately need 10 more people.
Natty Man's so right. It would be hilarious if everyone went to bed, set their laptops on mute, stayed on the live stream, and we'd get a ton of commercials from the YouTubes. And
here's the thing.
We'd be all right.
You know we never back down from that.
Nope.
If I said 75 was the number, then 75 was the number, and I would never back down from it. You know what's hilarious, Aaron? I don't think I set this thing to fucking monetize. I just realized that.
Can you change it right now?
Well, I can change it right now, and it'll change things like down the road for anybody that watches it. But I didn't monetize this entire 3 hours with with hundreds of people in the channel the entire time because I was doing it by myself. And normally, I didn't do it. I knew I didn't. Now it's monetized 3 hours later. 3 hours? Hold on. 3 hours and 456 viewers later, I monetized the fucking stream.
Unreal.
So everybody, you're welcome.
This is what happens when the producer's sitting out.
When it's normally like Aaron produces, and then I go in and monetize it. Like if you're ever watching at the beginning of a podcast and you see me doing this,
click, 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 click. Hi, Geeks and Guns.
Unfucking believable. Oh my god! Somebody needs to donate like $50.
Well, Joe Merrick just became a new member, so you're
Thank
welcome.
you, Joe.
Ask and you shall receive.
It just entered my brain.
Jesus.
I didn't fucking monetize the fucking stream.
Paul, we'll be back next week. Don't you worry about that. I'll be in Athens.
Oh, man.
Joe, thank you. We
appreciate you, Joe. I'm such an idiot. It'll automatically upload to YouTube, so you can watch the entire thing on YouTube.
Correct. Most dank plank.
I remember to click it every time, and we just got rolling, and I was trying to get Mick involved and get the stream. And actually, the funny thing, Aaron,
then it took off, and you didn't expect it to take off.
Well, no. Here's what fucked me up. Here's legit what fucked me up.
Thank you, Natty Man. We appreciate you.
Natty Man, I love you. Here's what fucked me up, Aaron. I hit live, and there were like 40 people in the room already waiting. And I said I was going to go live at 8:30.
I saw the tweet. That's what again, I didn't touch my phone for hours because I'm around all of my people doing diaper party / baby shower stuff. And all of a sudden there's 2 more recruits that commits that I hadn't seen. And you're doing a podcast by yourself. And I'm like, yo, you called. My bad. And here we are. Unreal. Paul, thank you for becoming a new member. If I had the ability to be a super producer, I would flash that up. But apparently I'm filibustering because Chad is going to get another drink.
That's
so
correct.
I knew what you were doing. I knew what you were doing. But thank you, Paul, for joining the family. We'll see if Calhoun ends up committing here on Friday, but Calhoun is apparently committing Friday, according to one Jason Cooper.
He did not say he was committing. He just said he had big news on Friday, something of that nature.
Okay,
we'll see what that big news is.
That we will.
Yeah, Dave. Look, Dave, I'm an idiot. Aaron knows. I say that all the time. Do I not?
All the time to me.
Yeah, I'm an idiot. I do dumb shit. It is what it is. I just have fun doing it. Like that's really why you guys love this stuff, right? Because we have fun. Like it's sports. It's not supposed to be super serious. Paul, good night. We love you, Paul.
Good night. We appreciate you becoming a member, Paul. But thank you also for logging off.
How are we at fucking 92?
Did it go up?
We're 90. Yeah, we were down to like 81.
85.
I thought we were. You guys are assholes, all of you.
All right. Did you talk to Big Fick today? Because can we talk about the private conversation we had with Brent about Fickell?
A little. Let's not get carried away. Did I speak with Fickell today? Yes, I spoke with Luke a time or two today.
Was he an elephant?
He was very much in his elephant form. His trunk was impressive. He was having a good day. I'll get to parts of my conversations with Fickell today eventually. I can't get to them right now.
Well, because we got to save content for the fact that we're doing another podcast. Oh, I don't know, in 24 hours.
Right. But this is not a podcast. This is a live show. These are different things. And we still have like $100 to make up on my ignorance of not monetizing the show for 3 hours. So hit the donate button and save my ass. Paul, I love you. Good night. Oh, that would have been. Could you imagine if Benny Coney was able to get an NIL deal? Do you remember Benny Coney, Aaron?
No, but I mean, the name alone screams Skyline.
He was a quarterback here.
Screams Skyline.
Yeah.
When?
Good. The Butch Jones era, I believe. If I have my years right in my brain.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. I think he was either late in the BK years or right when Butch Jones got here. I'm on a college basketball Twitter account with a large following. I'm with you there. I'm an idiot.
Dave, when we do college basketball stuff, retweet us.
Yeah. Can we please build a statue for Coach already? How about what do you think if I commission someone to build a Luke Fickell statue from my front yard?
I see some problems with that. Number one, you rent.
Okay. I mean, I could make it movable. Wouldn't have.
I just don't want you to be in a situation where you can't figure out what to do with the statue. In a yard that you're renting.
Yeah.
Number two, it's in Kentucky. That's not
okay.
That's not Cincinnati.
Okay.
Get it into one of those yards in Clifton.
Why am I going to commission a statue for someone else's yard?
I don't know, but why would you want it in Northern Kentucky? It doesn't make sense.
Because it's my house.
I mean, I get it, but
we'll put a statue for Luke, right by where we do the fire pit.
That'd be like me putting. I mean, I got 4 acres in Athens, but nobody's gonna understand what a Luke Fickell statue.
That makes it even better
in Athens. No one's gonna understand.
That's okay.
I've already gotten the okay from the lady that I can fly a UC flag underneath the American flag underneath the American flag.
It's a conversation piece, Aaron.
Sure, I get that. That's why I'm putting a UC flag up. But I don't know that you need to put that into your yard. I feel like what should be done is what was done with the paper mache Bearcats about what seems like 2 decades ago. Yeah. Let's all do Luke Fickell renditions. Get him to okay something, and then we'll all decorate a Luke Fickell.
Okay, here's the thing. If any of you out there are artists, we're at 86. Oh my God, we're so close. If any of you are out there that are artists, do me a quality Luke Fickell painting or sketch artist. No, just something I can put behind me. And I'll put Luke behind me. But it's got to be good. It's got to be legit. I can't hear you. You're muted.
I meant to unmute. What happened to the giant Galactic banner that you?
It's too big. It's too big.
I didn't think you should put it up anyway. Just hang it from the very highest place that you can.
How's that?
Just that's perfect. Perfect. But tell him if you're putting it up, he's got to pay you for all the shows.
All the shows. All of the shows.
You can't keep taking that down, right?
No.
You'll leave it up, but he's got to pay you for all the shows.
All the shows.
We'll talk about it every show, but he's got to pay you.
How can we not? It would. It's
So,
like a cake.
all the shows. Shane, you're on the hook. All the shows.
Completely off the rails. All because you people won't go to bed.
Dave, we appreciate it. I didn't know. I'm sorry. Thank you for doing that already. He's a Republic of Cincinnati guy, and they already know when he's tweeting about the Bearcats. LOL.
Dave, you know Republic of Cincinnati.
They got those clear bags back in stock again.
Also, our partners at 513 Shirts. Same people. Mike is our guy. Sorry, I had to roll up that.
Yeah, I figured that was what's going on. Joe, the statue of Luke will not be him posing with his forearm on his knee. It will be an
elephant. A baby elephant.
A different member.
Matthew, that was not Benny Coney. That was Munchie Lego. And it was gross. Really disgusting. 78, Aaron. We're almost there.
All right. Any nuggets you want to drop before?
I think I've nuggeted myself out. Like, I don't know how many more random things I could drop from today that aren't going to get me in trouble.
How's Malik?
Malik's great.
I know that's one of your boys. I don't know. There's
the
no way.
First person I talked to.
I was gonna say there's no way you didn't talk to him today, right?
Yeah, he was the first person I talked to when I walked down the steps.
So how's Malik though? Really
good.
Like,
I don't know. I was mad at him.
All the way good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know if he's.
That's what I'm getting at.
His ankle is where it needs to be yet, but
okay.
I know I walked down the steps and he asked me when I was going to lose weight and quit smoking. So,
I mean, it seems like a fair
we're
question.
good. That's a pretty standard conversation between me and Malik.
Seems like a fair question. How's Aaron?
Fine.
Well, I'm trying to think of people that you talked to that we can try and get stories out of. Did you talk to Aaron today?
I did. Nothing, pretty standard conversation with our guy, Aaron Himmler, who has been on the BCJ podcast. He's the head trainer. 82! You guys are assholes. All of you.
He just celebrated, I think, he just had an anniversary, didn't he?
I think so, yeah.
Like 8 years?
He married way out of his league.
He did do that.
I'm not setting those numbers, Jason, because we still got to get through this week. Like, we still have to figure out what the final number from this week looks like.
What happened from this weekend, right? Like this was the big weekend.
We're gonna have a lot to talk. Like, it's gonna be a really interesting show tomorrow night on the BBP.
How happy is Brent gonna be?
Oh my God! So I think his dad was in town in Indianapolis all weekend.
Yeah, he talked about that. That's why he couldn't make it for the diaper party.
So like he was like he's been a little bit disconnected from everything that's happening because he's had like family shit going on.
He went.
So I can't.
Chad, he went to the zoo.
Right. Yeah. So I can't accurately predict how excited he's going to be now that he gets to like actually talk about
all the commitments,
all the stuff, like
eight commitments,
happened, right? Like,
well,
how are we?
Yeah, I know we joke about this, and he is
74.
Jason knows. We're done. That's it.
See you guys tomorrow night.